Welcome to Chinese Novel Audiobook Chapter 81, Old Man in Bandages. For Naruto, this wave of country commission was very successful. He successfully completed his first research on Reaper. Under the infusion of spiritual pressure, Bai became a ***** of death, not Shu. Recalling the details, Naruto frowned slightly, and muttered to himself, will the strength of the ninja affect the success rate of death? He is full of expectations for future research. In the past, Naruto has been training and has never been exposed to anything related to research. After passing the Bandit and Bai's test, he became very interested in these unknowns. I also look forward to meeting people who are as interested in research as I am in Konoha. In his opinion, fighting and killing shouldn't be the whole of his life. Just like the second generation of Hokage, as an excellent Hokage, he is also an excellent researcher, creating various forbidden techniques through research. Aizen is also an excellent researcher, constantly exploring the boundary between Shinigami and Hollow. Every researcher is being questioned by the secular eyes, and their research process may be cruel and unethical. But the results of the harvest may well open up a new system. Naruto once heard from Minato that Orochimaru, one of Konoha's Sannin, seems to be very interested in research, and has also provided Konoha with some good experimental results. Naruto once thought about visiting Orochimaru, but discovered that Orochimaru had defected in the years after Minato's death. Konoha Sannin, who was once famous and even survived the battle with demigods. Up to now, those who have defected, those who have left. It's really embarrassing. There is no need to elaborate on the tricks, Naruto can guess without using his brain that he is inseparable from the high-level Konoha. After several days of trekking, under the leadership of Kakashi, the 7th team returned to Konoha. Kakashi also reported to the third generation about the details of the execution commission in a timely manner. After listening, Sandai smoked his pipe vigorously, and the smoke was lingering. He looked pensive and frowned. It took a long time before he slowly opened his mouth and said, Naruto, you are too arrogant. Kakashi, you have done a good job, step back first. After Kakashi left, Sandai slowly exhaled a puff of smoke and said to himself. The growth of Nine Tails Jinchuriki is very important. The current Naruto's strength has improved too fast. There is still a lot of room for his blood succession limit to develop, but Kakashi can no longer teach him. This commission also exposed Naruto's biggest shortcoming, arrogance. How can Naruto, who doesn't understand teamwork, understand the importance of companions? Perhaps, it's time for Jiraiya to come back. With Jiraiya's training, I feel relieved. 3 generations muttered to themselves. Naruto, who returned to Konoha village, was taking a walk in the street. He deliberately avoided the streets with heavy traffic, just to enjoy a moment of peace. Clang clang clang. Suddenly, there was the sound of crutches hitting the ground at the end of the street. Soon, an old man with a bandage all over his body and a long scar under one eye appeared in his sight. He was obviously just a strange-looking old man, but for some reason, Naruto's hair stood on end. He narrowed his eyes slightly, still maintaining a perfect and gentle smile on his face, and walked forward leisurely. At the same time, the old man on the opposite side still maintained a steady pace. I thought it was just a simple pass. Unexpectedly, when the two figures were about to meet, the old man stopped, and Naruto suddenly looked at each other with a pair of cloudy eyes. In those cloudy eyes, Naruto saw the darkness of despair. Naruto, be careful, he is Danzo. Minato in the sealed space reminded vigilantly. Shimura Danzo. One of Konoha's top executives, after failing to compete with the third generation for the position of Hokage, hid in the dark, established rotten roots, and controlled Konoha's frontal ecology. A man full of stench, disgusting and frightening. How did Danzo appear here? What does he want to do? Is it allowed by 3 generations? Naruto's mind turned countless thoughts in an instant, and finally turned into a perfect smile. Hi, do you know me? Uzumaki Naruto, Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki, son of Namikaze Minato. Meeting face to face, it was indeed as elegant and confident as the intelligence said. Danzo's eyes flickered non-stop, he held the top of the crutch with both hands, smiled, and the wrinkles on his face were squeezed together. I'm the elder Shimura Danzo. Uzumaki Naruto, I'm very interested in your blood succession limit boundary. How did Danzo bypass the third generation to contact Naruto? Minato in the sealed space lost his voice. Is Danzo so arrogant now? Naruto looked at Danzo carefully, and his smile gradually disappeared. The Danzo in front of him didn't give Naruto a chance to continue thinking, and continued. Naruto Uzumaki, in the commission of the Country of Waves, he showed an extremely powerful blood succession limit, and Kyoka Suigetsu was able to completely control the Uchiha Sasuke of Urgoyu Sharingan. The derived Ghost Way also has good destructive power, but your development of the blood succession limit is far from enough. Danzo's eyes were calm, and he said calmly. Moreover, your blood succession boundary has a huge disadvantage. Hearing this, Naruto's eyes suddenly turned cold. Danzo ignored it and continued, if you don't believe me, you can use your blood succession limit on me. This. Naruto was worrying about how to let the high-level Konoha see his hajime, and became a servant of Kyoka Shuijutsu. Unexpectedly, the troublesome root leader, Danzo came to his door like this. So Naruto began to explain. Crack it, the mirror of the mirror. Ripples appeared in the world, but Danzo still kept smiling. However, Danzo paused slightly, and the next moment, the world in his sight suddenly shattered like a mirror, revealing Naruto's real surprised eyes behind the mirror. Danzo was secretly complacent, with a gentle smile similar to Naruto's on his face, and said softly, see, your blood successor limit is not strong enough in front of a strong man like me. Become my disciple, www.mtlnovel.com, Naruto. Think about it, I can give you all you want. After the words fell, Danzo turned around and walked slowly in the same direction as before. Naruto put away the mirror in silence, and showed a gentle and elegant smile again. Hokage's office shortly after. You've crossed the line, Danzo, I've already said it, and I've made a growth plan for Naruto. There was anger in Sandai's eyes. If it weren't for the old partner in front of him holding a lot of power, he would definitely make a move now without hesitation. Hijin, this time Naruto's performance in Nami country is too good, his talent has already surpassed Minato. As long as he reasonably develops his blood succession limit, our Konoha is likely to have an extra wealthy family comparable to Hinata. Danzo's eyes were fiery, and he grabbed the crutches excitedly. Do you think a Kakashi is qualified to teach Naruto? Hijin, since the Uchiha was exterminated, our relationship with each ninja village has become very tense. We don't have time to wait for Naruto to grow up slowly. Danzo said earnestly. We're out of time. After the words fell, Hokage's office fell into silence again. The third generation naturally understands that Danzo's approach is also because of pity. After all, Naruto's commissioned performance this time exceeded everyone's expectations. Naruto's progress has indeed exceeded my expectations, but that's not the reason for you to intervene. Third generation smoked a pipe, frowned and said, next, I will ask Jiraiya to teach Naruto. You. Danzo's expression froze, and a look of deep fear appeared in his eyes. He snorted coldly and said, it's better to let Naruto choose himself. If he doesn't want to be my disciple, I won't interfere in Naruto's growth from now on. Chapter 82. Jilai also arrives. If you become a disciple of Danzo, I believe that everything will be completely controlled. What's more, Danzo is not even Hokage. In the sealed space, Naruto sat cross-legged on the ground, thinking, it is best to maintain the status quo. Just think so, remember, Naruto, the farther away from Danzo the better. Minato breathed a sigh of relief, and reminded with a serious face, during these decades, the roots of Danzo have been deeply rooted in Konoha. Compared with the third generation, Danzo is a man who really abandons kindness. As the fourth Hokage, Minato, who has been exposed to many secrets, naturally understands how dangerous Danzo is. During his tenure, various decisions were obstructed by Sandai and Danzo. Rather than saying that he is the fourth Hokage, it is better to say that he is a Hokage who has been emptied. Be very aggrieved. It can be said that Sandai and Danzo have one inside and one outside, and almost completely control Konoha in their hands. Even if he intends to change the status quo, it will be difficult. And seeing this, Sanin left one after another. On one side is the teacher, and on the other side is the beloved Konoha. It is really difficult to be caught between them. I suspect that Danzo had colluded with Orochimaru before, and perhaps Orochimaru's defection is also related to Danzo. Minato said a guess. Anyway, getting involved with that old guy is definitely not going to be a good thing. Juwei snorted softly and joined the topic. Anyway, Naruto, you are developing insignificantly now. When the time comes, the old man will lend you all your strength, and you will defect to Konoha directly. At that time, they must be very shocked. How could Naruto, who was originally gentle and refined, defect? That Uchiha kid, it will definitely go crazy like being betrayed, maybe the eyes can evolve again. The more Ninetales said, the more excited he became, the hair on his body began to tremble. Then you stab him and tell him that eyes can't be believed. Thinking of the possible future scenes, Kyuubi couldn't help rolling in excitement. As the mastermind behind the scenes, promoting Naruto's betrayal, isn't this more exciting than a game? Minato on the side wanted to speak, but he was afraid of causing Naruto's dissatisfaction, so he could only sigh helplessly. Actually, Konoha is just a bit rotten at the top. If the younger generation is willing to change, it will definitely. Kyuubi interrupted mercilessly before he finished speaking. The younger generation will be wiped out by them. The fourth generation, this is your fault, why push Naruto into the fire pit? Okay, needless to say, I know it myself. Naruto interrupted the quarrel, with a hint of chill in his smile. Konoha's future has nothing to do with me, I just want to do what I want to do. He looked at Minato and said, fourth generation, you may need your help in the future, and you need to be ready to leave at any time. After speaking, Naruto left the sealed space, leaving Sidai and Kyuubi looking at each other. HMPH. Ninetales snorted coldly, and sat back in front of the computer again. After the episode of encountering Danzo, Naruto returned to the ordinary days of the past. Wake up, train, and rest all in one. During the period, Danzo waited for a long time, and did not wait for Naruto's response. Finally, from the triumphant tone of the third generation, he learned that Naruto had no interest in becoming his disciple. This made Danzo very frustrated, and even gave birth to Naruto, dissatisfied. In the end, he could only walk away angrily. This made the three generations laugh happily as if eating honey. And outside Konoha, a figure shuttled vigorously through the forest. Surprisingly, this person was dressed strangely, was tall, and wore a forehead protector with the word, oil, written on it. He was wearing a red coat with brown clothes inside, and clogs on his feet. This person is one of the famous Konoha Sannin, Jiraiya. Jiraiya is also a rather complicated character. Over the years, he has been collecting information about Orochimaru outside Konoha. At the same time, he is also looking for disciples who can bring about changes in the ninja world according to the prophecies left by the totem mortal. As a ninja, he was undoubtedly successful. The strength reaches the shadow level, and is feared by countless ninja villages. But as a disciple, he left Konoha, longing for freedom. After Minato's death, as Minato's master, he also considered adopting Naruto, giving Naruto an incomplete home. But after much consideration, he decided to leave Konoha and collect information. Over the years, he has also come back, but after seeing Naruto's miserable situation, he completely gave up on Konoha's senior management. After the interference was fruitless, he simply drifted away on the grounds of gathering intelligence. There must be guilt towards Naruto in his heart. So after receiving the recall from the third generation, he dropped what he was doing and rushed back without stopping. Looking at Konoha, which overlapped with his memory but seemed unfamiliar, Jiraiya sighed for a while. In just a few years, things have changed. Even Sannin has already survived in name only. Zillai also felt a little sad in his heart. With complicated emotions in mind, he walked into Hokage's office and briefly exchanged greetings with Sandai. Soon, he also understood the situation. I can't help being stunned. Kakashi can't teach Naruto anymore. Naruto's talent is so outstanding. Jiraiya was shocked and lost his voice. Yes, Naruto has awakened the very potential blood successor limit. www.mtlnovel.com. The third generation smiled and said, in my opinion, Naruto may really become Hokage in the future. Quote. TCH, Hokage. Jiraiya sneered, his tone a bit hostile. Although he looks lustful and stupid, he is actually very wise and stupid. He has seen clearly the struggles of Konoha's senior management over the years. No matter how the political struggle is, it is all for the two words, Hokage. Facing Zurai's rather indifferent attitude, Sandai smiled wryly and retreated to advance. I'm getting old too, it's actually better for you to take this Hokage position, think about it, and don't leave when you come back this time. Quote. Don't, I can't bear this position. Jilai also hastily refused. Let's ask Tsunade to be Hokage. I'm going to find Naruto. After finishing speaking, Jilai also walked towards the window and jumped off. The three generations left behind shook their heads and chuckled. Zilai, after so many years, he still can't get rid of his habit of jumping out of windows. Walking on the familiar streets, Jiraiya already had a general idea in his mind. I heard that Naruto is elegant and gentle, and he is highly rated among his peers. It can be called a little son. It might be a bit abrupt to meet him rashly now, why not observe him secretly for a while, and then meet him by chance? After all, I am ashamed of Minato, so I naturally want to pass on all the knowledge I have learned in my life. Just accept Naruto as a disciple. Speaking of apprentices. Is Naruto the child of prophecy? Jiraiya looked a little dazed, thinking of the prophecy of immortal Toad. In the future, the apprentices you accept will bring huge changes to the entire ninja world. As long as you guide them correctly, the son of prophecy will be able to save the ninja world. Chapter 83. I also want to accept disciples. Soon, Jilai also found Naruto who was buying ingredients on the street. He was dressed in casual white clothes, with golden bangs hanging down to his eyes, a pair of blue eyes were clear and pure, and a pair of lifeless black-rimmed glasses did not limit his appearance, but added a touch of elegance to Naruto. Minato. Jiraiya murmured to himself, his eyes couldn't help getting a little moist. But soon he came back to his senses. Minato had died in the Night of the Nine Tails, and what he saw was Minato's son, Uzumaki Naruto. Jilai also learned about Naruto's childhood in detail. Full of darkness and malice. It's hard to imagine how a child with no hands could survive. He once put himself into it, but found that in that environment, even with his carefree temper, it was difficult to remain optimistic. It is commendable. Naruto, like Minato, is gentle and elegant, and is the little sun in everyone's eyes. Do not. Precisely. The light in the darkness is the most precious. In order to get everyone's approval, Naruto must have put in a lot of effort. Jilai couldn't help feeling distressed, and calmly observed Naruto's every move. At this moment, Naruto came to the door of the store, greeted Yamanaka-dama gently, and then told his purpose. Aunt Yamanaka, I want to buy some vegetables and radishes, and buy me some pork. I'm going to cook some pork and radish soup at night. Naruto, long time no see, you're back to the village. Seeing Naruto, the ant in the mountain suddenly burst into a simple and honest smile, and said. Yeah, the commission time this time is a bit long, and I rushed back as soon as the commission was over. It's hard work outside, but home is the most comfortable. While chatting, Aunt Yamanaka quickly put the ingredients that Naruto needed to buy into the bag, and put a small group of vegetables by the way. Mom Yamanaka, enough is enough, I won't be able to finish it if you stuff me anymore. Naruto smiled and shied away. How can it be enough? You are growing your body now, so you need to eat more. After a push and pull, and a battle of wits, Naruto bid farewell to Yamanaka-dama politely with the bulging shopping bag. Going south along the long street, I greeted many friendly villagers along the way. Almost all of these villagers are parents of classmates. After entering the ninja school, the parents of many students also intuitively understood Naruto's talent and personality, so they did not object to their children's association with Naruto. During the 6 years of study, Naruto quickly got along with these students and was recognized by the parents of the students. After walking for about 10 minutes, Naruto came to the empty training ground, put the shopping bag beside the big tree, and shouted to the empty training ground, "You have been with me for so long, come out." I was exposed. Jilai, who was originally puzzled because Naruto didn't come home, was also horrified. Over the years, he has been wandering outside the leaves to investigate information, and his concealment skills have been practiced to perfection. It is no exaggeration to say that he could hide in the bathhouse for 3 days and 3 nights without anyone finding out. Although the follow-up was a little negligent this time, it would not be noticed by the ninja. It seems that Naruto's strength is close to that of a Jonin, as the intelligence said, but his perception ability has reached or even surpassed that of a Junin. Who am I, you ask? Listen. Jiraiya jumped out from the hiding place and stood on a high rock with an excited expression. Toad Immortal is just hiding his name from the world. I can do everything easily, the whole world. Ji also shook his flowing white hair violently. One of the unrivaled Sannin, the white-haired boy Toad, who can instantly shut up a crying child and make a beautiful young woman intoxicated. It is also Papa. Jiraiya made a circle, and the clogs left a crisp sound on the rock. So you are Jiraiya, one of the Sannin. Naruto kept smiling. That's right, it's the handsome guy. Jiraiya raised his head. Oh, nice to meet you, I'm going back to cook, goodbye. Naruto nodded, picked up the shopping bag, turned his head and left. Wait a minute. Jiraiya lost his power immediately, jumped off the rock in a panic, and followed behind Naruto. Aren't you curious? Why did the famous Sannin appear in Konoha and still follow you? Jieke reluctantly followed behind Naruto, his clogs rattling loudly. Not curious. Naruto kept his pace. You followed me just to see how the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki in the village is doing, and whether it is the same as what others said. Ah, that's true. Jiraiya followed closely, touching his chin, as if thinking about what to say next. I didn't expect Mr. Jiraiya to return to the village. It seems that the third generation wants him to be your teacher, Naruto. Minato said in the sealed space. Although Mr. Jiraiya seems unreliable and very lustful, he still masters a lot of secret arts, among which the immortal arts are the strongest. Naruto, you can learn from teacher Jiraiya. After mastering psychics, you can enter MTL novel to practice celestial arts, www.mtlnovel.com. I think it may be a good place to practice Reiatsu. Minato pondered. Naruto stopped in his tracks, and Jieke, who was contemplating, was caught off guard. His chest hit Naruto's back, and he rubbed his chest painfully. Is such a person really Sannin? No matter how elegant Naruto is, it is difficult to maintain a smile on his face at this moment. He watched the old boy Jieke also play crazy tricks with black lines, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. I said. He sighed helplessly. Don't follow me, I'm very busy. Ahem, actually. Jieke also put away his funny expression, a little embarrassed. Actually, I heard that you are Kakashi's disciple, right? Naruto snorted. That's such a coincidence, do you know who my disciple is? Jiraiya said to himself. My disciple is Kakashi's teacher, Namikaze Minato, so in name, I should be regarded as your Shigong's master. I will be stunned when I come. Maybe it's because of guilt. When facing Naruto, Jiraiya is always a little unnatural. He looked at Naruto. But he found that Naruto was looking at him playfully. So you want to teach me ninjutsu? That's right. Jiraiya nodded vigorously, and then changed his words. To be precise, I can accept your request to learn ninjutsu. Oh, no, I'm fine now. Naruto regained his gentle smile, turned and left. Don't go, wait a minute. Jiraiya followed behind with his hips twisted, feeling extremely anxious. Didn't Naruto say he was a little son? Why is his personality so bad? Chapter 84. Martial nephew and uncle go first. In the end, under the stocking, crossed out, Jieke also became Naruto's master as he wished. And at the meeting of the 7th class on the second day, he came proudly. Yo, Kakashi, you're all grown up now. He greeted Kakashi slightly frivolously. Master Jiraiya. Kakashi said respectfully, when did you return to the village? Kakashi's attitude towards Jiraiya surprised Sakura and Sasuke. Unexpectedly, the perverted and unreliable old man in front of him turned out to be the legendary Konoha Sannin. I also just arrived yesterday. Unexpectedly, little Kakashi is now a competent teacher, teaching students well. Jieke also praised with a smile. No, my disciple is more talented. Kakashi said with a humble face. Although Kakashi and Jiraiya don't have many intersections, they are still in awe of this master. Jiraiya doesn't look like a ninja, but his strength is a real shadow. And among Konoha Sannin, Jiraiya is also the best at fighting. In terms of fighting, the other two were really no match for Jiraiya. I didn't bother you, did I? Of course not. Then I took my disciple away. Your disciple is. Kakashi was stunned. Naruto. Jiraiya winked at Naruto. Well, then nephew and uncle are leaving first. Naruto was naughty for a rare time, and nodded slightly to Kakashi. Kakashi. Bastard. Naruto actually has Sannin guidance, Kakashi. Teach me your box pressing skills, I can't be pulled further and further away. A few minutes later, Sasuke, whose body was stiff, let out a roar, and refused directly. Grab Kakashi in the face. Please, Kakashi-sensei, teach me better ninjutsu. Kakashi sighed, and said earnestly, my stupid disciple, from the point of view of seniority, Naruto is already your master, why do you compare yourself to him? Quote. Jiraiya, who was in a good mood, hummed a little song and led Naruto down the street. Soon came to the waterfall. Yoshi, Naruto, before learning ninjutsu, I need to know, what is your dream? Shouldn't you learn about my dream from other people? Naruto asked curiously. Ahem, that's different, everyone's dreams will change, so I want to hear your latest dream. Oh, it's the same as before. You. Cough. Looking at Naruto, who was still maintaining a refined smile, Jieke also suddenly felt heartbroken. Then why do you want to become stronger? He Yuan. It can't be the same as before. Guard the person you want to protect, turn into the will of fire, click. Okay, I see. Jiraiya interrupted Naruto's words, and pondered. Your blood successor limit is very good. I think it is important to develop blood successor limit, but at the same time, you also need to learn some ninjutsu to assist your blood successor limit. Of course, you can't rely too much on the limit of blood successors, after all, your current limit of blood successors has a lot of disadvantages. However, this is the first time I've heard of the blood succession limit that can control vision. Want to experience it? Naruto interrupted Jiraiya and asked gently. Experience. That's great, use your full strength to weave illusions, by the way, remember to use the ghost way, I want to see how far your blood succession limit has been developed. Jiraiya responded boldly, and tapped his toes, the next moment appeared on the grass 10 meters away from Naruto, looking relaxed. Obviously, with his cage-level strength, he didn't take Naruto's upcoming offensive too seriously. After all, he has been in the ninja world for decades, has seen countless strange blood successors, and fought against countless top powerhouses. No matter how good this blood succession boundary is, it only affects the vision. He is going to crack the Kyoka Shuijutsu and Kido with an absolutely crushing attitude, shocking the always refined Naruto, and let him obediently follow him to learn techniques, ninjutsu. In response, Naruto's mouth curled into a faint arc. Break it, mirror flower water moon. Jinghua Shuiyu suddenly unsheathed, and accompanied by soft whispers, it turned into shattered lenses and melted into the air. Jiraiya only felt his vision distort for a while, like a drop of water falling into a lake, causing fluctuations in the originally peaceful world. King's Lander, the mask of flesh and blood, Vientian, flutters its wings and flies high, and the one who bears the name of human beings, truth and restraint, stand on the wall of an innocent dream with only minions. 33 of Breaking the Way, Kangwo Pendant. Explosive flames fell from the sky and turned into billowing fireballs, bringing a strong light. Wow, is this the way of ghosts? So handsome. Jiraiya screamed strangely, and his hands quickly formed seals. Earth Dungeon, Earth Flow Wall. A 15-meter-high earthen wall appeared in front of Jiraiya, easily blocking the fall of Kanghuo Pendant. The seemingly violent fireball didn't even have a flame, it went out directly in front of the earth wall. As expected of a cage-level ninja, such a simple ninjutsu is so powerful. Naruto secretly sighed. It's just a simple ninjutsu, and the gap between Kakashi and Jiraiya has undoubtedly been revealed. Broken Way number 57. The earth turns and dances. Naruto continued to launch the offensive without stopping. At the moment when the ground rolled and the earthen wall collapsed, he walked in front of Jiraiya in a short step, mercilessly slashing out. Oh, what a powerful sword technique. Jieke was cut in two and turned into smoke. But Naruto instantly crossed the distance from the real body, and slashed straight out. The sound of the wind of the sword came oncoming, and Jiraiya's eyes suddenly became serious. This is the Shunpo comparable to the Shunjutsu. Reading www.uakanshu.com. There is no chakra fluctuation at all, this should be some special pace, what an amazing talent. With just these few moves, Naruto's strength is already at the level of Chunin. A thought flashed through Jiraiya's mind, and he made a seal with his hands. Ninja. Needle Jizo. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Under Naruto's astonished gaze, Jiraiya's long silver hair hardened and completely wrapped his body. Clang! Jinghua Suigetsu slashed on the silver hair, and fierce sparks burst out, and the force that came from it made Naruto's hands tremble suddenly. Hey, Naruto, how about this ninjutsu, do you want to learn it? The art of messing with lion hair. The words fell, and the long silver hair formed a lion shape, wrapping Naruto tightly. Zillai also said proudly. See, Naruto, this is the self-created ninjutsu of the Toad Immortal, do you? Shua. Before he finished speaking, a slash came again in the air. Aren't you trapped by me? Jiraiya widened his eyes, only to find that his vision became disordered, and Naruto had already appeared above him. He hurriedly escaped with a substitute technique, and looked at Naruto standing in the field with a smile on his face in horror. He immediately operated chakra, directly dispelling the control of Kyoka Shueyu. But the horror in my heart could not stop for a long time. He understood that he still underestimated this blood succession limit. If I hadn't deliberately perceived it, I wouldn't have realized that my vision had been completely played with. If other people don't have information about Kyoka Shuijutsu, they will probably be beheaded directly in a short time. Jiraiya looked at the smiling Naruto with lingering fear. The sun was warm, but he felt terrified. Chapter 85. One everything that can't go back. Stop fighting, I already understand your abilities. Jiraiya shouted at Naruto. Don't fight now. I want to see Jiraiya Sensei's ninjutsu again. Naruto felt a little regretful. Your blood succession boundary is not bad. Whether it's your taijutsu or ghost way, it's not something ordinary Chunin can resist, but you can't be proud of it. Jiraiya organized his words, but I can feel you're so tense, and the tense you're talking about here is the state of your muscles. Training is certainly important, but the most important thing is to combine work and rest. If you don't train today, I will take you to a very important practice. Jiraiya hooked his fingers at Naruto with a mysterious expression. Jillai also brought Naruto to the bustling street where he had almost never been, and told Naruto what he had seen and heard over the years while walking. There are strange blood successor limit ninjas, and there are also some anecdotes. Of course, he concealed the mental journey of people in Naruto, drifting to lost connection. After all, Naruto is only 12 years old now, and he is still growing up. If he becomes obsessed with handicrafts at this time, it will easily affect his future development. Although manual work is fun, it consumes too much of the body. Jiraiya understands the pros and cons, so he will not help Naruto become an adult. Jiraiya also wanted Naruto to experience Konoha's prosperity for himself, and tried to form a bond with him. In his opinion, the current Naruto is too mature and calm. Sometimes, people also need a little innocence. Although Zillai also knows that for Naruto who had a dark childhood, the word innocence is very ironic. Walking in the bustling streets, feeling the crowds, Naruto still maintains an elegant smile, but there are complex emotions flickering in his eyes. People who come and go sometimes stop for shopping, and sometimes buy snacks and eat while walking. The villagers had relaxed and happy smiles on their faces, as if they had no worries. Naruto found out. It turns out that Konoha is so prosperous. It's just that this prosperity doesn't open up for itself. Hey, Naruto, come, eat this. Jiraiya's carefree voice interrupted Naruto's thoughts. He looked up and saw that Jiraiya stuffed himself with an ice cream cone. You probably haven't eaten this before, and I haven't eaten it for 10 years, eat it quickly. Zillai also said cheerfully. Naruto took the ice cream with calm eyes. Once, he also looked forward to tasting this snack, watching other children enjoy the summer refreshment with eager eyes. Ice cream is undoubtedly a luxury for him. Naruto took a sip. Cold and sweet. But, some things, once you pass that age, don't have that fantasy flavor. Why don't you eat it? Isn't it delicious? Jiraiya finished a cylinder with 2 mouthfuls, and looked at the ice cream in Naruto's hand eagerly. Here you go. Naruto generously stuffed the ice cream into Jiraiya's hand. Actually I don't like eating that much, it's just that I haven't eaten for a long time. Zillai also explained awkwardly, but the movements of his hands were quite nimble. Naruto watched all this calmly, without any disturbance in his heart, and even wanted to sleep. He understands. Jillai is also trying to make up for his missing childhood. But I really feel nothing about it. Even a little want to laugh. Try this again, this is delicious. This is also very fun. A cheerful voice sounded in his ears, watching this old boy who was almost 50 years old offering treasures and introducing various food and toys, but Naruto's thoughts drifted further and further away. The original self longed to be loved and looked forward to being loved. Facing the malicious reality, he was hit again and again. If I hadn't accepted the teachings of Mr. Aizen, maybe I would be grateful now, and I would regard Jiraiya as an extremely important person in my life. It's just that the current Konoha, it is difficult for people nowadays to approach their hearts. I have chosen a path destined to be lonely. Naruto withdrew his thoughts. For some reason, there was a trace of sadness in his heart, but also relief. He and Konoha will eventually part ways. Mr. Jiraiya, let's go, I don't like this place very much. He said softly. Oh. Zillai was also taken aback for a moment, and replied foolishly. The two left the bustling street, and the atmosphere was a little awkward. After a long time, they had already reached the door of Naruto's house without knowing it. Mr. Jiraiya, I'm going back to rest, so I won't go shopping with you. Naruto said kindly, still with a gentle smile. Jillai could also feel such a trace of alienation, so he could only scratch his head foolishly. I will teach you some good ninjutsu tomorrow, so you can take a good rest today. Okay, Teacher Jiraiya, see you tomorrow. Seeing Naruto close the door, Jiraiya felt a little bitter in his heart. For some people, it is difficult to form a bond when they come late. Oh. He sighed, not knowing where to go for a while, so he could only wander aimlessly. Before he knew it, he came near the bathhouse. Even if you walk aimlessly, the DNA in your heart still leads you honestly to where you belong. I don't know if Konoha's bathhouse is still so memorable. Jiraiya suddenly showed a wretched smile. He used ninjutsu to sneak into the Konoha bathhouse, and arrived at the senior male bath closest to the female bath. It was empty. Zillai couldn't help but let out another obscene and excited laugh. www.mtlnovel.com. By the waterfall, Kakashi hugged his shoulders with a serious face. At this moment, Sasuke was bathed in thunder, his hair stood on end, and his expression was a little sad. His right hand resounded like the piercing chirping of 1,000 birds. This is Sasuke's first advanced change to Chidori. Stimulate the cells of the whole body through the thunder escape, so that all aspects of his attributes can be qualitatively improved. It's just that this kind of ninjutsu is extremely dangerous, and it may leave hidden wounds if you are not careful. And now Sasuke is showing Kakashi the results of his practice. Chidori. With a roar, Sasuke guided his right hand into the rock that was as tall as an adult. Boom boom boom. The vast thunder energy gathered from Sasuke's whole body in Chidori's right palm, shining with boiling and terrifying energy and light. The sharp Chidori pierced through the giant rock-like piercing tofu, and with the crackling sound, there was an even more deafening explosion sound. All of a sudden, the air was filled with flying dust, electric currents surged, and the grass under his feet was filled with a burning smell. And that boulder has been almost completely smashed into powder. Sasuke was panting wildly, his forehead already covered with fine sweat. You did a great job, Sasuke. Kakashi praised. At this age, Chidori can be developed to a new height again. Sasuke is worthy of Uchiha's name. But Sasuke was still not satisfied. This kind of power is not enough. My control over the lightning chakra is far from enough. Chidori's ninjutsu has a high potential, and I can continue to develop it. But I don't have Naruto's terrifying resilience and physical strength. Now my body is close to the critical point. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel Chapter 86. 2 Pillars. I want to be Hokage. Let's do this today, Sasuke. Kakashi said. Your body can no longer continue to practice. Yeah. Sasuke replied sullenly, looking not in a high mood. Mr. Kakashi, do you think I can still catch up with Naruto? Sasuke raised his head, his eyes a little confused. Even if I fully develop Chidori, there is still a big gap with him. Every time I execute a commission, it is him taking care of me, and even giving me the opponent. Am I really unbearable compared to him? Looking at the frustrated disciple in front of him, Kakashi's eyes were gentle. As a genius of the Uchiha clan, Sasuke is also worthy of the name of a genius. Whether it is the sense of combat and strength, He has rapidly improved in each battle. If he was placed in the Ninja World War a few years ago, I believe he will stand out soon. But his target was Naruto. A guy who has a nine-tailed chakra and is so talented that it is shocking. Kakashi shook his head secretly, rubbed Sasuke's head, and messed up the black hedgehog head. You are good enough, Sasuke. You will be Konoha's future. Both you and Naruto, you are also each other's most trustworthy partners. I know, but I don't want to be his burden. Sasuke clenched his fist and hit the ground with a fist, bringing up a large piece of grass, with a face of resignation and self-blame. Every time I entrust me, I am slowing down. I don't want to disappoint him. I want to tell him that I, Uchiha Sasuke, will be his lifelong opponent. I, too, can become Hokage. Kakashi's expression suddenly dawned on him, and the boy in his line of sight had an immature face under the sun but was full of firmness. Obito. For a moment, Kakashi seemed to see what his former friend said seriously to himself. Kakashi, I will become Hokage. He chuckled softly, his eyes filled with irresistible tenderness. Sasuke, Hokage is not for competition. This is not a rivalry. Sasuke raised his head with complicated eyes. Images of the past and partners appeared in my mind, followed by the pain of the night of genocide. But the pain was fleeting, and Naruto's smile and everyone's help drove the pain away. Let Sasuke know that he is not alone. Everyone, Konoha, is guarding him. In the end, the picture freezes on the immature Inari. The awkward boy hates the hero because of his father, escapes from reality, but longs to be saved deep down. Brother Sasuke, I want to be like you, not afraid of challenges, keep getting stronger, and protect everyone. In my memory, Inari's smiling face is brilliant, but he is no longer immature. Getting stronger is not just about getting stronger. End guard. Sasuke's eyes brightened. I am sincere. I hope to become Hokage, to be recognized by everyone, to protect everyone, and to protect Konoha. Facing Kakashi's eyes, Sasuke showed a brilliant smile on his cold face. Watching the disciple who has always been cold turned into a little sun. Kakashi seemed to see the stupid teammate he used to be, and he suddenly felt so moved that he wanted to cry. Turning his head hastily, he said sullenly, then you have to work hard, teacher, I will support you. By the way, I'm so tired from training today, let's go take a bath together. Under the setting sun, one big and one small walked side by side towards the Konoha bathhouse. Ms. Kakashi. During the period, Sasuke suddenly spoke. What's wrong? Thank you for your guidance. It's really touching that my lovely disciple would thank me. Kakashi patted Sasuke on the shoulder playfully. I take back what I said before. Sasuke pushed Kakashi's hand away expressionlessly. It still looks awkward. Kakashi chuckled. Kakashi was in a very good mood. All three of my students have developed very well. A pink hair who was thrown by Kakashi to the ninja hospital to learn medical ninjutsu. In the bathhouse, Sasuke walked into the men's bath, but the target was a figure lying in the corner, peeping at the women's bath. The man had thick white hair, was wearing a strange red costume, and had clogs on his feet. From time to time, there will be a wretched laugh. Peeping. Sasuke's eyes turned cold, and the lightning chakra condensed on his legs, bursting out with explosive power, crossing the distance from Jiraiya in an instant, and putting his right foot straight on the huge buttocks. Bang. Ji Lai, who was caught off guard, was also thrown into the female soup by Julie, causing a lot of waves. He lifted his head out of the water in a daze, and saw a group of young and beautiful women. Their faces were astonished, and they even forgot to cover their own spring. PFF'd. The nosebleed spurted out. A pervert. Nutang suddenly boiled. Soon, Zilai with a bruised nose and a swollen face was thrown at the door. Sasuke, who had done all this, smiled slightly, hiding his merit and fame deeply. Kakashi, who had been dawdling in the locker room for a long time, also walked into the men's soup wearing a mask at this time, with a little doubt in his eyes. It seemed very noisy just now, what happened? No, it's just a fly that flew into the female bath. Sasuke closed his eyes, feeling the warmth of the bathhouse, and replied softly. There are actually flies in the bathhouse. It seems that the sanitary conditions are worrying. Kakashi always has a lazy tone. As the evening approached, Sasuke walked out of the Konoha bathhouse. After soaking in the bath, His exhausted body was relieved a lot. www.mtlnovel.com. Now he just wants to find a place to sleep well. Hey, Uchiha brat, you are so brave. A bad voice suddenly sounded in his ear. Sasuke turned his head and saw Sannin and Jiraiya, who had appeared during the day, looking at him through gritted teeth. Naruto accepted his guidance. Sasuke thought to himself, but on the surface he was calm. Is there something wrong? Of course there's something to do, kid, you've got something to do, do you know that? Jiraiya's wooden clogs rattled. Do you know how hard those ants are? Because of you, I won't be able to collect materials for the next few days. He said with a sad face. Unexpectedly, Tang Sannin is a womanizer. Sasuke's face darkened. Wrong, I am from Hama Mountain, and I come from the handsome and wise Toad Immortal. Oh, lecherous fairy. Sasuke had dead fish eyes. Hey, Uchiha boy, you are too rude, I am a toad sage, not a lecherous sage. TCH, lecherous sage, let me tell you, even if Naruto has the guidance of Sannin like you, I will not fall behind. I swear on the glory of Uchiha, I, Uchiha Sasuke, will definitely catch up with Naruto, and even surpass him. Quote. Huh. Sasuke snorted coldly, turned his head arrogantly, and left here with a victorious posture. Thinking that Naruto's teacher is such a lecherous and unreliable guy, the chances of catching up with Naruto are greatly increased. In this comparison, Kakashi is still very good. If Zillai was also his teacher, he might as well just use Chidori to cut open his stomach and kill himself. This kid is quite interesting. Looking at Sasuke's leaving back, Jiraiya suddenly chuckled. Chapter 87. Enter MT. Myogi. The next morning, Naruto got up early and prepared a hearty breakfast for himself. But before he could speak, there was a knock on the door. Zillai also stands impressively at the door. Naruto, are you preparing breakfast? It smells so good, do you mind if I join in? Jiraiya walked into Naruto's house talking to himself, sat at the table, looked at the delicious breakfast, and moved his index finger. You eat, I'll make another one. Naruto reluctantly returned to the kitchen and continued to work, and Jiraiya behind him also made an exaggerated exclamation during the tasting. Oh my god, how can it be so delicious, Naruto, your craftsmanship is amazing. This was the first time Naruto had breakfast at home with someone else, so he was quite uncomfortable. After breakfast, they came to yesterday's training ground. Come on, Naruto, I'll teach you psychic art first. Jiraiya took out a scroll and motioned for Naruto to sign his name. This is the scroll for making a contract with the Toad on MT. Meowmoo. As long as you succeed, you will be able to return to the psychic world. And you can have your own psychic partner. A powerful psychic partner can help you form a 2v1 situation in battle. Every shadow-level powerhouse needs a powerful psychic beast. And your master, I am a well-known contractor in Meowmoo Mountain, and I am deeply loved by psychic beasts. Jiraiya's tone was rather arrogant. But he also has the confidence. It is no exaggeration to say that he, who has completed the practice of immortal art, has surpassed the other two Sannin in strength. The spirit activity in the psychic world is completely different from that in the ninja world. If it is more active, it may be a very suitable place for Reiatsu practice. Naruto remembered what Minato once said, so he signed the contract without hesitation. There was a faint light on the contract scroll, which symbolized that Naruto had become the contractor of MT. Meowmoo. Okay, let me show you this ninjutsu first. Jiraiya's hands began to seal, and then he slapped the ground forcefully, shouting, psychic art. In an instant, the smoke was filled, and a deep voice was deafening. Hey, Jiraiya, why did you call me out today? Is there any guy who can make me fail? When the smoke dissipated, a huge red toad with a huge pipe in its mouth, a bandage around its waist, and a short sword stuck in it appeared in front of Naruto and Jiraiya. Isn't it fighting? After seeing the situation clearly, Toad Wentai asked in confusion. Let me introduce, this is the master of Mount Meowmoo, Toad Bunta. Toad Bunta, this is my disciple, Uzumaki Naruto. Hello. Naruto nodded politely to Toad Bunta. Well, this kid looks a bit like. Hamoan tilted his head in confusion. Naruto always feels familiar. This is spiritism. Jiraiya hastily lifted the spiritism, and said to Naruto seriously, Don't look at spiritism as simple as it seems, but in fact it is no less difficult than Helix 1. You need to perfectly control the chakra in your body, only then can you summon the psychic beasts from MT. Meowmoo. You must have suffered a lot in practicing Helix pills at that time, and you must be mentally prepared this time. Zillai also turned into a good teacher and guided. As an experienced teacher, Jiraiya also clearly understands that Naruto may face the setbacks and losses that are rare in life. And I will give him comfort and encouragement at the right time, and help him complete the practice of spiritism. Well, let me try, spiritism. Naruto made a seal and clapped his hands on the ground. The smoke was lingering, and a familiar voice sounded. Hey, Jiraiya, are you finding fault? Why are you calling me again? Jiraiya was shocked, his jaw almost dropped to the ground. How is it possible? Facing Gamma Bunta's questioning eyes, Jiraiya pointed at Naruto with a twitching corner of his mouth. I'm sorry, Mr. Toad Bunta, I'm the psychic this time. Naruto nodded gently to Toad Bunta, and said. Huh. Toad Wen was stunned for a moment, then his pupils shrank. What are you kidding? After seeing Jiraiya's helplessness and Naruto's seriousness, he fell silent. Jiraiya, your disciple, is very good. But you still need to pass my test if you want to get my approval. Toad Wentai moved his body, causing the earth to tremble and the leaves to rustle. What test? Stand on my back, insist not to fall off. Toad Bunta's voice was loud. Isn't it fighting? Naruto looked disappointed. Well, it's okay to fight, if you Konoha can afford the environmental damage fee. Bunta Gamma looked around and replied. Then let's fight, money will make you grow old. Ahem, it's better not to fall, I promised the old man not to make any big noise. Zillai also hastily interrupted Naruto. HMPH, I think you're picky. Toad Wentai snorted coldly, and pointed to his back. Come on, Naruto. When Naruto was standing on the back of Gamma Wentai jumped up suddenly. Haha, enjoy flying. Jiraiya's brows jumped wildly, and Toad Bunta kept jumping, showing various difficult movements. The huge figure fell to the ground and caused the earth to shake, giving people the fear of an earthquake in the future. But no matter how much Toad Bunta struggled, Naruto always had a smile on his face, and his feet were firmly attached to Toad Bunta's back. Until Toad Bunta started panting, www.mtlnovel.com, Naruto's figure didn't move a bit. What the hell, how can such a small brat be so powerful that he can pass my assessment? Gamma Wentai panted and said in a low voice. Of course, he is Jiraiya's disciple who I have fascinated thousands of girls. Zillai also said triumphantly, his posture resembled a certain locked-up fox. Naruto's talent is really great, it really comes with me. Minato in the sealed space said proudly. Hey, the better the talent, the better, so that you can get out of Konoha's control as soon as possible. When Naruto destroys Konoha, I can see if you can still smile. Kyuubi beside him said sadly, his eyes full of malicious. No, Naruto won't do such a horrible thing. In my opinion, Konoha is just a passerby to him. Minato said confidently. Oh, if Naruto really wanted to destroy Konoha, would you stand by and watch? Hearing this, Minato was silent. For a moment, he raised his head and said firmly, if this day really comes, I will stand by Naruto's side. Crack, clap. Kyuubi clapped vigorously. It's terrible, the fourth Hokage who loves Konoha so much can say such a thing, you are really ashamed of your name as Hokage. My god, the current Konoha is really rotten, even Hokage has betrayed the village. Minato ignored Kyuubi's sarcasm, after all, he had been with Kyuubi for so long, and he knew Kyuubi's temperament clearly. The more you talk to him, the worse what he says. Back to Naruto. At this moment, Naruto is ready to go directly to Mount Meowmoo with Jiraiya to visit the Toad Immortal. After reverse psychic surgery, they finally entered Mount Meowmoo. Chapter 88, Natural Energy and Reiatsu. Long time no see, Jiraiya, and this one is Uzumaki Naruto. Sento Fukusaku said softly, looking at Naruto with unconcealable admiration. The first time he used psychic art, he was able to psychic Toad Bunta, which was enough to show Naruto's outstanding talent. Meowmushin may usher in the most potential contractor in history. This is also a good thing for MT. Meowmoo. Moreover, Naruto's demeanor is elegant, and the warm smile on his face is even more like his dead father. With the blessing of many factors, it is hard for Fukusaku sage and Shima sage not to like Naruto. Perhaps Naruto will be the son of prophecy. Fukusaku immortal even thought so. While Fukusaku and Shima were greeting each other, Naruto was also looking at the two sages. Contrary to Gamma Wentai's huge body, the two immortals are only as big as Jiraiya's head. They are small, one is green and the other is purple, and they look quite cute. However, the beards and wrinkles on their faces show that they are not young. From the two celestial beings, Naruto could feel an amazing energy that surpassed that of Gamma Bunta. This energy is similar to chakra, but different. Very active, full of life and nature, like sunlight or moonlight in the air, is an energy that makes up a part of the world. It seems to be different from Reiatsu. Naruto frowned slightly. If it is said that the Reiatsu of the god of death is a wonderful, slightly death-like power extracted from the soul world or the soul, the air, then the energy here is the energy that symbolizes regeneration and life. Aizen in Naruto's body can also clearly sense the difference between the two. Reishi is the main substance that constitutes the soul. In addition, the matter in the soul world is composed of spirits. After death, the souls in the world of corpses and souls will turn into spirit sons and use them to build houses. In the void circle, many small voids only need to breathe the spirit particles in the air to survive. Although the properties of the two are different, they should be able to be transformed, but I don't know how efficient the transformation is. Lan Ranfu forehead pondered. However, Naruto is not a of death in essence, but a human being, so he can absorb natural energy, and perhaps convert it into a spiritual pressure. The efficiency is definitely much higher than in the ninja world. After thinking for a while, Aizen came to a preliminary conclusion judgment. This place should be more suitable for practicing Reiatsu than the ninja world. Naruto also thought secretly in his heart. After a brief self-introduction, the two sides got to know each other roughly. Jilai also wanted Naruto to stay in Mount Miaomu and practice with the two immortals. Not only to lay a solid foundation for future Shanjutsu, but also to let Naruto experience an environment different from Konoha. At the same time, I also hope that several sages will experience Naruto's blood succession boundary together, and give Naruto's development opinions. Naruto cast his mirror flower water moon, and the magical ability made the two immortals amazed again and again. This is similar to the illusion, but different from the blood succession boundary of the illusion. It can even generate ghosts with different attributes, and the energy fluctuations produced by the blood succession boundary are not only chakra, but a bit like Fukusaku Senjin with a pensive face. I always feel that Reiatsu is somewhat familiar. Suddenly a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind, he clapped his palms and shouted, I remember it, it's like the breath of a pure land. Pure land. Jiraiya looked puzzled, while Naruto looked pensive. That's right, the Pure Land is the place where people's souls will go after death. Immortal Fukusaku explained. The ninja world you are in is the human world, and our Miaomu mountain is considered a natural world, full of natural energy and full of vitality, while the Pure Land is the opposite of this place. It is the place where the soul returns after death, and it is also a place full of the breath of death. Having said that, Fukusaku Immortal looked at Naruto meaningfully, and said, to be able to awaken the blood successor limit related to the Pure Land, I think the potential of this blood succession limit is definitely beyond your imagination. However, the too powerful blood succession limit there are always disadvantages. If the death energy of Pure Land is too high, perhaps, Naruto, you will die. Of course, this is just speculation, and my understanding of the Pure Land is only superficial. Pure Land. Then I would like to ask the immortal, how to enter the Pure Land. Naruto's question changed the expressions of Fukusaku sage and Shima sage, and they hurriedly dissuaded them. Little Naruto, you must dispel this idea immediately. Only the dead will go to the Pure Land, and a living person enters the world of the dead. Do you think there will be any harm? What's the end? Okay. I know, thank you Immortal for clarifying the confusion. Naruto thanked him sincerely, and did not give up the idea of going to the Pure Land. He can't be regarded as a pure human being, and he can be regarded as a **** of death with a spiritual pressure. For himself, the Pure Land is definitely the most suitable place to practice spiritual pressure. Or even, the perfect world to build your own kingdom. Maybe I can turn the Pure Land into a world of corpses and souls, or a virtual circle. Thinking of this, Naruto couldn't stop a surge of fire in his heart. Sento Fukasaku and Sento Shima looked at each other. Naruto, could it be the son of prophecy? He is also thinking about this issue. According to the prophecy of the Big Toad Sage, www.mtlnovel.com, Jiraiya's apprentice will have the power to change the ninja world. Originally, Jiraiya also thought that the son of prophecy was Nagato, and thought that Nagato, who had the eyes of reincarnation, would definitely have the power to subvert the ninja world in the future. But now it seems that Naruto, who possesses the power of blood succession, which symbolizes the Pure Land, also has the potential to become the son of prophecy. Comparing the two, Jiraiya naturally hopes that Naruto, who inherits the will of fire, will become the son of prophecy. But for some reason, Jiraiya suddenly thought of Sasuke Uchiha. The boy who has Sharingan, also works hard, and has been chasing Naruto. I still vaguely remember the scene when Sasuke put him into the female bath. That kind of taste is really delicious. Perhaps he is the Uchiha who inherits the will of fire. He should be the most reliable partner of Naruto in the future. Jiraiya thought so. Okay, I've talked so much, I'm hungry, let's eat. At this time, the virtuous Zima Immortal brought out delicious dishes from the kitchen. Let's have dinner together, the old lady's cooking is still very good. Fukasaku Immortal invited with a smile. Okay, I also want to see the cuisine of the psychic world. Speaking of cooking, Naruto was also very interested, and accepted the invitation with a smile. Jiraiya's face suddenly turned green. But under Fukasaku-sensei's gaze, he reluctantly followed him to the dinner table. The first dish was deep fried, and there were inexplicable insects on the plate, exuding the fragrance of deep fried. The second plate is spicy worms, which are delicious in color, fragrance and taste. Under Jiraiya's shocked gaze, Naruto picked up a piece of worm and ate it with a smile, not forgetting to praise. Great craftsmanship. Awesome. Chapter 89. If the contractor betrays Konoha. This unrecognizable worm tastes crispy and delicious, with a crunchy texture, and the fragrance permeates after one bite. More importantly, Naruto was able to taste the mind of immortal Shima. Although eating bugs is a bit unacceptable for humans, for Naruto, this is the best meal he has ever eaten. Mr. Jiraiya, eat more. Naruto took advantage of the situation and picked up a large handful of worms for Jiraiya, who looked terrified. After enjoying the exquisite lunch, Naruto found a place to sit on the ground, quietly feeling the natural energy. A few little toads wandered around Naruto from time to time, full of curiosity about Naruto. And Jiraiya was chatting with Fukasaku Immortal and Shima Immortal. Naruto closed his eyes, calmed down, and soon, the natural energy in the air poured into his body. He took a deep breath, accepting the natural energy. These vital and energetic energies are constantly circulating in the body, and they are quite gentle, but when they come into contact with spiritual pressure and spiritual seeds, the natural energy becomes a little irritable. They don't play against each other. In order to control these energies, Naruto worked **** his chakra, hoping to have the ability to regulate it. Before he knew it, his forehead was already covered with fine sweat, and his expression became more and more labored. At this moment, the Kyoka Suigetsu on Naruto's waist trembled slightly, and then an extremely domineering and brutal force emerged from Naruto's body, directly suppressing the spiritual pressure, natural force and chakra. Naruto's expression gradually softened. Under the slow guidance, the natural energy gradually transforms towards Reiatsu. After a long time, Naruto opened his eyes, felt the boiling spiritual pressure in his body, and clenched his fists. The efficiency of spiritual pressure practice in the psychic world is at least twice that of the ninja world. Although the efficiency is still low, at least Naruto sees the hope of having a captain-level spiritual pressure. In the world of corpses and souls, the captain rank can only be regarded as the standard equipment for Shiegia. In the middle and late stages of the original work, the ordinary captain rank is even set off by a single knife. You really can't win a battle without pointing your whole cards. And Aizen has a spiritual pressure far beyond the captain level, so his mirror flower and water moon can achieve the effect of deceiving the captain level death god. But the Grim Reaper, who has a sixth sense, can detect abnormalities. Just like Walai, the predecessor of Jian Ba Mao, noticed something was wrong when he saw Lan Ran's body. It is precisely because of the understanding of the limitations of Jinghua Suiyu that Naruto will fully expand his combat effectiveness in all aspects. While Naruto was practicing, Jiraiya and others also talked about Naruto. Little Jiraiya, it's not easy for you to accept this disciple, especially his blood successor limit boundary. I feel that his blood succession limit boundary is not as simple as it appears, and maybe it can be developed to a level comparable to the reincarnation eye. Sento Fukasaku recalled the horror of being visually manipulated, and couldn't help sighing. That's right, if you don't prepare in advance, you might really get caught. Jiraiya also said with emotion. However, the disadvantages are also obvious. As long as the vision is shielded and the sixth sense is used to fight, the blood succession limit can be broken. However, Ghost Dao has a variety of attack methods, which can attack and assist. But the blood successor boundary has the aura of a pure land after all, and I'm a little uneasy after all. I'll ask after the great immortal toad wakes up. I hope little Naruto won't be backlashed by the blood successor boundary. Well, Naruto and I have been harassing here for a while. Jiraiya scratched his head and said carelessly, Naruto likes the spirit world very much, and it seems to be of great help to his practice in the blood succession boundary. Quote. The psychic world is too deserted. If you stay for a few more days, it will bring us some anger. Immortal Zima then sighed and said, it's a pity that the child of Minato is gone. The atmosphere suddenly became a little heavy. Time flies so fast, Minato's children have grown up. Fukasaku Sento said with emotion. Yes. Jiraiya's eyes were a bit complicated. You are returning to Konoha now, won't you leave? Sensei Fukasaku's question made Jiraiya hesitate a bit. He thought of Sandai and Konoha he had seen. Until Naruto grows up, I won't leave. Finally, he said in a deep voice. After Uchiha was destroyed, Konoha's combat power dropped too much, and there was an urgent need for a shadow-level ninja like Jiraiya to sit in charge. For the remaining 10 days, Naruto and Jiraiya also stayed in the psychic world. Under the rapid refinement, Naruto's Reiatsu increased slightly. This made him more addicted to the practice of the psychic world. It was a bitter experience. He ate hard to eat insect dishes every day, and he even felt that if he ate any more, his movie-level stomach would not be able to bear it, and he might have diarrhea. On the other hand, Naruto tastes the bugs with a smile every time, and can even eat disgusting insects like flies without changing his face. Then kindly give his suggestion for this dish. This made Immortal Shima feel as if he had met a bosom friend, and he would chat with Naruto for a long time every time, from cooking techniques to cute Chongchong, from Chongchong to chatting about Chongchong's internal organs. Naruto patiently communicated with Immortal Shima every time, and he would express emotion from time to time. Grandma Shima, you really know how to cook. Immortal Shima was coaxed into a happy mood. Ji-Lai also can only say that he can't learn, it's too scary. Time slipped away like this. During these 10 days in the psychic world, Naruto felt unprecedented ease. I respect Shima Senin and Fukasaku Senin from the bottom of my heart. After all, the memories here are also very happy. It's just that, www.mtlnovel.com, Naruto clearly understands. In the future, he might become Jiraiya's enemy. At that time, Mount Miaomu in the middle may be difficult to do. So in the day of practice, Naruto asks the two sages what they think of Konoha. In his opinion, Jiraiya and Minato have signed a contract with Miao-Gishin, so Miao-Gishin should be biased towards Konoha. But what is surprising is that Fukasaku Sento's answer is quite interesting. We will not interfere with Konoha's development, but if the contractor is in danger, we will help. Then join, the contractors are hostile to each other. Naruto asked curiously. Haha, Naruto, why would you ask such a question, how could you and Jiraiya be hostile? Fukasaku Sento laughed. I mean if. Naruto shrugged. Immortal Fukasaku didn't take Naruto's question seriously. Only when Naruto stayed in Miaomu Mountain for a long time, so he was bored, he would think about some strange questions. After thinking for a while, he replied, should be able to communicate with each other. Don't help me. What if another person wants to destroy Konoha? Naruto continued to ask. Destroy Konoha. That's definitely not allowed. Fukasaku-sensei's answer made Naruto understand. Meow Mushin is still on Konoha's side after all. If I will definitely betray Konoha in the future, Mt. Meowmu will probably become my enemy as well. Okay, stop chatting, come and have some snacks. At this time, Immortal Zima arrived with the afternoon bug dessert. A simple conversation ended here. In the days to come, after many considerations, Jiraiya also decided to let Naruto practice celestial arts. Chapter 90. Mutation and Void. Naruto naturally wouldn't refuse. Chakra plus Reiatsu plus Senjutsu. Naruto found that he seemed to have more and more backhands. Aizen in Naruto's body was also watching all this intently. For him, natural energy is an extremely strange and interesting energy. He is as curious about it as chakra, even beyond. Natural energy is like energy with the opposite nature to Reiatsu. If you can master the two and integrate them, you may be able to reach a new level. It's a nice idea that deserves a lot of research on its own. It's just. Does your own world also have natural energy? Aizen's eyes flickered, watching everything that happened quietly. Ordinary chakra is condensed through the balanced fusion of physical energy and spiritual energy. Shanju is the power that is obtained by absorbing the natural energy around you into the body and combining your own physical energy and spiritual energy. Sento Fukasaku began to explain the Senjutsu chakra, and Naruto sat cross-legged on the ground and listened carefully. Ninjutsu using Senjutsu chakra is often extremely destructive. Our fairy art in Mount Meowmu is called Frog Fairy Art for short. The immortal mode lasts for about 5 minutes. Come on, Naruto, let's start the preliminary fairy art practice. Remember, you must be calm, and there should be no distracting thoughts in your heart, and you need to achieve a one balance between the chakra in your body and the natural energy. If you fail, your body may turn into stone or frog. Immortal Fukasaku looked serious. I'll ask again, do you really want to learn fairy art? Seeing Naruto nodding, Fukasaku Senjin took a deep breath and began to let Naruto apply toad oil on his body to feel and absorb the natural energy. Ji-Lai also watched this scene nervously. Practicing immortality is extremely dangerous. He almost died when he practiced fairy art. Fortunately, I survived in the end. Although the practice of immortality is a few shangxian. But once the practice is successful, Naruto's combat power can jump to the top of the ninja, and may even break through to the shadow level, which is a good thing for Konoha. Under the guidance of the two celestial beings, Naruto gradually became better, with no distracting thoughts, and soon, the natural energy of the psychic world continued to rush towards Naruto. The speed of the practice is astonishing. Naruto is so sensitive to natural energy. His talent is so strong. Even though Fukasaku-sensei has seen countless geniuses, he has never seen a human being who can make such a riot of natural energy. Those natural energies formed a thick white color, constantly lingering around Naruto. But strangely, Naruto suddenly looked pained. And that breath is not like the breath of fairy art. Has the natural energy changed? Fukasaku Immortal lost his voice. What a violent energy. Those natural energies are continuously and rapidly transformed into the energy that may exist in the Pure Land mentioned by the Immortal in midair, and condense on Naruto's face. At the same time, Naruto's eyes suddenly became bloodthirsty, full of danger. This is a terrifying look that I have never seen before. That aura, that killing intent made all the toads in Meowmu Mountain feel uneasy and terrified. Even Toad Wentai came to the scene and stood aside fearfully. What's going on? Ji-Lai also looked at the two immortals. These natural energies were absorbed by Naruto's body, but it seems to have awakened something. Now, these natural energies are being transformed. Fukasaku Immortal said with a look of fear. I think this may be a side effect of Naruto's blood succession limitation, which produced a negative personality. Now, this personality is encroaching on his body. Is there anything we can do? Do we just stand by? No, now the chakra in his body is entangled with natural energy and strange forces, forming a delicate balance. If we act without authorization, this balance will be broken. I think all we can do now is wait. When Naruto opened his eyes, he found himself in the space of Zanpakuto. The palace was empty, and the original bright starry sky scene no longer existed, replaced by white mist lingering in the sky, which looked viscous and disgusting, and the air was filled with endless coldness and malice. In the white mist, there are also light spots that symbolize natural energy. Naruto stretched out his hand and slid through the natural energy, but could only feel the coldness. Jia Jia Jia. An extremely negative laughter suddenly sounded in the air, and then a white shadow flew across the sky and landed beside the throne. This is me. Naruto looked intently, only to find that the person in the white robe had the same face as himself, but the expression on his face was full of negative, like a crazy mental patient. Jia Jia Jia, it's really disgusting energy. The white shadow waved the white knife in his hand, and a thick white mist engulfed the light spots. He looked at Naruto with an evil expression. Finally come back already. Ontology, from now on I will replace you as the king. Under Naruto's suspicious eyes, Shirokage sat towards the throne. However, the next moment, his body seemed to have received a huge impact, and he flew upside down, his chest and abdomen were even sunken, and white liquid sprayed out of his mouth. He flew upside down at least 30 meters away, rolling down at Naruto's feet one after another. He raised his head, his face was full of unstoppable anger, www.mtlnovel.com, and shouted hysterically towards the throne. Why? Why don't you recognize me? I am obviously much stronger than this weak body. I am the king. But soon, he looked at Naruto and smiled evilly. I understand, as long as I kill the main body, I can become the king. The white knife in his hand slashed towards Naruto fiercely with gusts of knife wind. Naruto's footsteps moved lightly, and he appeared 100 meters away in an instant. He looked at Shiroing expressionlessly, and he knew it in his heart. This guy is his own negativity, hypocrisy. I learned from Aizen that the ***** of death and Shu are related to a certain extent. Through special means, the ***** of death can be transformed into a ***** of death, and Shu can also be transformed into a ***** of death. And what I am facing now is the emptiness made up of my own negative emotions. A beast that can't control its emotions. Naruto pulled out the Kyoka Suigetsu, and the sword sang bursts. This freehand gesture angered Zubai even more. He slashed towards Naruto with all his strength. Clang! The two knives intersected, and violent sparks burst out. Naruto felt his arms go numb, and took a slight step back. But Shubai's second knife has come, accompanied by hysterical laughter. You are too weak, the main body, why don't you let me replace you? I will destroy Konoha, I will do better than you. Naruto evaded with a chuckle, put his backhand on Zubai's abdomen, and then walked behind Zubai in an instant, falling down hard. How is it possible? Zubai's eyes were shocked when he was knocked into the air, exerting strength in his abdomen. He blocked the mirror flower and water moon with a single knife, but his body also hit the ground hard. Bang! Naruto then stepped on Zubai's face with a mocking expression on his face. Trying to replace me. Is this your measure? Chapter 91. Blur. Void, full of negative emotions, often have the ability to surpass the body. But you must know that Naruto's strength is not only the ***** of death, but also his own chakra system. Besides, Naruto didn't think a guy who lost his mind could beat him. According to Aizen, after mastering the virtualization, the strength can be greatly increased, and it may even directly break through the shadow level. As long as he possesses cage level strength, he can gain a firm foothold in Konoha for the time being. Just seeing Shushiro with the same face as himself showing such an ugly expression, Naruto couldn't help being disgusted in his heart. Unforgivable. Zubai, who was trampled on the soles of his feet, felt the cold ground, and the shame in his heart turned into anger. He couldn't believe that the main body, which he had always ignored, could defeat him in an instant. The furious Zubai erupted with even more terrifying power, directly shaking Naruto away, standing up, and spraying a false flash from his mouth. False flash rolled up the bricks on the ground, and sprayed towards Naruto with a straightforward momentum. This move is powerful, but it's too ugly. Naruto muttered. Zubai, who has the same face as himself, opened his mouth and sprayed a false flash. This scene. It's just too hot for the eyes. Seeing such emptiness, I really want to kill him directly. Naruto looked cold. 8-door Dunjia, open the door, open. Shut the door, open it. Shungman, open. Naruto directly opened the 3 doors, and immediately came behind Zubai with a thought. Zubai had just finished spraying the flashing Zubai before he even had time to wipe his mouth, and his eyes couldn't keep up with Naruto's movements. With the blessing of Shunpo and Hachiman, Naruto's speed has far surpassed Zubai. Boom. Naruto kicked Zubai into the air, and appeared above Zubai like a shadow. Boom, boom, boom. There was a continuous sound of beating. In Zubai's eyes, Naruto has turned into an afterimage, and his whole body is being attacked by Naruto's fists and feet. Every time, it will fly in one direction at a faster speed, but will be hit in another direction in an instant. Like duckweed, it floats around in midair. Why is the gap so big? Zubai was confused in his heart, and his body was in constant pain. According to common sense, the negative blankness of the asterisk of death should have power beyond the body. Under negative emotions, Zubai can often exert more than 100% of his strength. How could such a self lose to the main body? In his opinion, the main body is just a weak guy who can only survive by pretending. This is the first time Zubai has tasted pain and humiliation since his birth. Finally, the string called reason in his mind broke completely. Roar. He raised his head and roared angrily. In an instant, the spiritual pressure far surpassed the previous boiling, and even twisted the air. The spiritual pressure spread out in a circular shape, and directly collapsed Naruto, and Zubai also stabilized his figure in the air, and fell hard to the ground, splashing a large piece of gravel. Ha ha ha, ontology, congratulations, you have successfully angered me. Zubai couldn't help but raise his head triumphantly, laughing maniacally, feeling the boiling spiritual pressure coming out of his body. To his surprise, Naruto didn't show a scared expression, but was full of jokes, and gently wiped the dust on his fist. I think you made a mistake. In the beginning, your identity was just, my prey. After speaking, Naruto's figure turned into an afterimage again, and under Zubai's shocked and unbelievable eyes, he punched Zubai's abdomen. The sound of continuous blows sounded again, and this time, each punch would dent Zubai's body to a certain extent. How is it possible? Naruto in the blank vision turned into an afterimage again, and he found out in despair. It turned out that the previous Naruto were keeping their hands. Zubai, turned out to be the prey. Zubai was filled with resentment in his heart, and wanted to fight back, but under Naruto's stormy attack, he was completely powerless to resist. Bang bang bang. There was another blow, and Zubai's whole body was sunken to varying degrees, falling slowly from the sky towards the ground, leaving white trails behind. Naruto's beating caused him not only physical pain, but also psychological devastation. Zubai, is just a prey. When Zubai landed on the ground, Naruto raised Zubai, who was no longer in human form, with a sneer on the corner of his mouth. Is this your strength? It's really not good. There was a tinge of fear in Naruto's eyes with a vacant white breath. He even regretted jumping out and was beaten for nothing. Naruto threw Shushiro aside in a dull manner, and walked in another direction. He could feel the power gradually becoming manic in his body. If he didn't dominate the consciousness of the main body, his body might go berserk. In the outside world at this moment, under everyone's worried eyes, the thick white mist gradually condensed into a white mask on Naruto's left face. Under the mask, the blue eyes revealed a mad killing intent. Chakra and Reiatsu gushed out from his body, creating a large air current. Crack. The ground where Naruto sat cross-legged began to crack, spreading outward like a shattered mirror. Rich natural energy permeates around the celebrity, www.mtlnovel.com. Instantly, the mist is filled, accompanied by the air flow rolled up by Reiatsu and Chakra. Crack. Naruto stood up slowly in the center of the storm, his bones cracking. He raised his head, the gaze under the white mask was chilling and frightening. Get ready to fight. Fukasaku Sage and Shima Sage jumped to Jiraiya's shoulder. Toad Bunta on the side also drew his sword. Naruto has been swallowed by killing, we must knock him out quickly. Gulong. Jiraiya swallowed a mouthful of saliva with difficulty, he could feel the threat from Naruto. It's unimaginable. You must know that Zillai is also considered a powerful group among the movie-level powerhouses. If something happens to Naruto, how can I explain to Minato and the others? He felt bitter in his heart, and quickly sealed his hands. Crack. At this moment, they saw Naruto suddenly raised his hand and grabbed the bone mask. The palm of the hand is hard, and the veins burst out. Crack. The bone mask suddenly shattered and fell to the ground. Naruto raised his head, revealing his eyes that had regained clarity, and smiled slightly at Jiraiya and others. Sorry for worrying everyone, I'm fine now. It's over. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief, and their tense nerves also relaxed. After this little episode, the two immortals no longer dared to let Naruto practice immortal arts. Judging from all indications, Senjutsu will awaken the terrifying side effects of Naruto's blood succession boundary. Fortunately, this time Naruto's own will overcome the negativity, and no one will be able to say next time. If Naruto really went berserk, and there was a nine-tailed body in his body, it would definitely be a disaster comparable to a natural disaster for Konoha. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel Chapter 92, Panda Man. In the past 10 days, Sakura and Sasuke's practice has not fallen behind. Interestingly, in the past few days, an uninvited guest came to Sasuke. The specific situation will start from a certain afternoon. At that time, Sasuke was developing Kirin, and the huge momentum matched the Chidori's aura in his hands like a rainbow. The bristling black hair is even more mysteriously handsome. The little boy passing by was fascinated and pestered Sasuke to recognize his eldest brother. Sasuke naturally looked disgusted, but what he was thinking in his heart was unknown. He rejected the little boy with a stinky face. But no eviction. As a result, there was an extra follower behind Sasuke's ass. Remember this for me, this is the big brother I know, Konoha's famous Sasuke Uchiha, who is also the 5th Hokage in the future, and I, Sarutobi Konohamaru, will be the 6th Hokage. On Konoha Street, Konohamaru pointed to himself arrogantly while walking, his nose was almost up to the sky. Brother Sasuke is super handsome. Udon and Mohuang looked at Sasuke beside them with admiration. TCH, stinky brat. Sasuke could hardly maintain his cold expression. I feel a little refreshed for no reason. Hey, when will Naruto come back? I really don't want to stay with this awkward little brat anymore. Xiao Sakura helplessly held her forehead, her face speechless. If Kakashi hadn't asked the two of them to meet up at the training ground today, she wouldn't have walked with Sasuke. One Sasuke, plus 3 little ghosts. This combination is disappointing. Ah. At this moment, Konohamaru, who was walking backwards, bumped into a person, clutching his head in pain. Hey, kid, don't you have eyes? A malicious voice came. Konohamaru turned his head, and saw an ugly man in a black one-piece suit with a strange purple-like pattern painted on his face. Konohamaru, who was caught off guard, was suddenly trembling with fright. Konoha's brat is really rude. Kankuro said coldly. A look of disdain. Okay, Kankuro, don't be like a brat, don't forget our purpose this time. The accompanying tall slender woman Tamari reminded. But, it hurts. Kankuro sneered, grabbed Konohamaru's collar, and lifted it up. I used to kill an impolite guy like you. Kankuro, you don't want him to be angry, so stop. Tamari reminded. HMPH, let's fix this brat before he comes. Kankuro's left fist hit Konohamaru directly in the face. Ah. Big brother save me. Konohamaru closed his eyes and yelled. Menghuang and Udon couldn't bear to close their eyes, not daring to look anymore. In an instant, Sasuke disappeared on the spot, kicked Kankuro in the abdomen, kicking him at least 5 meters away, and easily picked up the falling Konohamaru with his left hand. Putting Konohamaru down, under Konohamaru's adoring eyes, Sasuke didn't even look at Kankuro, and said coldly, when did the scumbags become so arrogant? After finishing speaking, he chuckled, closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and said softly, today's sunshine is really good. Brother, you're so handsome. The admiration of the Konohamaru trio reached its peak. Wow, what a handsome man. Even Tamari was a bit nympho. Idiot. Sakura rolled her eyes with a helpless expression. Bastard. Kankuro, who was kicked back, was angry, and directly placed the puppet on his back on the ground. The bandage wrapped around the puppet began to dance in the air, countless sands danced along with it, and the vigorous chakra overflowed. Kankuro, what are you doing? Do you still want to use that? Temari's expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly dissuaded him. I want to show you some color. Kankuro's eyes flashed with murderous intent. But the next moment, his pupils shrank suddenly, as if he saw something unbelievable. Sasuke appeared in front of him, with one hand casually pressing on the puppet's head, and his whole body was surrounded by tiny lightning bolts. The chakra that was originally flying on the puppet landed on the ground like a headless chicken, uncontrollable. Fine lightning strikes spread all over the puppet, and Kankuro's arm was paralyzed in an instant. This guy. Kankuro swallowed his saliva in his throat, and the eyes he looked at Sasuke gradually became fearful. His other hand, which was not yet paralyzed, grasped out of thin air, as if he was controlling something. At the same time, Sasuke only felt that his limbs were being held by some strange object, making it difficult to move. Puppetry. It's a small trick that can't be put on the table. He sneered, and the chakra in his body soared. Crack. Hearing a soft sound, Kankuro's expression changed drastically. My puppet technique was broken off so easily. Kankuro is confident that he already has Chunin-level strength, and it should be easy to deal with the little genin with one-handed puppetry. Although Konoha has always been rich in geniuses, no matter how talented a ninja is, it shouldn't be so easy to break free. Who is this guy in front of him? Weak. Sasuke lifted Kankuro's collar. reading www.uakanshu.com. The latter's legs were weak and swayed in midair. Is it just this strength? Sasuke's eyes were full of teasing, the DNA in his body was in turmoil, and he wanted to imitate Naruto and say a few more words. Hey, Kankuro, you're really embarrassing. Just when Sasuke was about to strike, a murderous voice suddenly sounded above his head. Anyone can escape my perception. Sasuke felt his hair stand on end, he let go of Kankuro's collar and looked up. In sight, a Pandarin with a red love letter on his forehead and a sand gourd on his back was standing on a treetop with a cold expression. The Pandarin looked at Sasuke with a bloodthirsty expression, extremely excited emotions bloomed in his eyes, and a cold murderous aura lingered around his body. Quicksand slowly overflowed from the sand gourd behind him. You two, hurry up and get away. Don't embarrass yourself here, otherwise, I will kill you. Gaara looked at Kankuro and Temari coldly. Kankuro, who had been arrogant before, was full of fear, bowing and apologizing to Gaara. I'm sorry. Aren't they partners? How could this be? Sakura stood in front of the three of Konohamaru with a dignified expression. I always feel that the atmosphere is full of chills and a little uneasy. Naruto, where are you? Come back soon. Sakura folded her hands together, praying anxiously in her heart. Gaara and Sasuke are still looking at each other, both eyes are full of murderous intent. Is this a party? It's so lively. At this moment, a gentle voice suddenly sounded in the air, and Naruto appeared beside Gaara the next moment, his tone full of concern. Hey, you, the dark circles under your eyes are so heavy, you should pay more attention to rest. Chapter 93. Hello, my name is Uchiha Sasuke, remember it for me. The latest website. TCH, Naruto, you're here. The moment Sasuke saw Naruto, his tense body also relaxed. Although his tone was dismissive, his heart was somewhat relieved. Gaara puts a lot of pressure on him. He doesn't have the confidence to beat Gaara. Not to mention the need to protect the Konohamaru trio and Sakura. Now that there are more Naruto, the situation has undergone a huge reversal. Are you kidding? That man. When did he appear over there? Kankuro and Temari looked shocked, and couldn't help taking a step back. When did he come to me? I didn't notice it at all. Gaara, who was still murderous before, couldn't help being shocked. He looked at the treetops from the corner of his eye, and the gravel that was originally pervading stagnated in place as if encountering a natural enemy. My sand is actually afraid of this man. Gaara's eyes widened, and then he showed an extremely bloodthirsty smile, and the excitement in his heart continued to rise. This is the only way to be interesting. As long as I kill him, I will definitely find the meaning of my existence. At the same time, Naruto's eyes also fell on the foreheads of Gaara and the others. He frowned slightly, feeling a little puzzled in his heart. This is the forehead of Sand Hidden Village. How could Sand Shinobi appear in Konoha openly? The relationship between Sand Hidden Village and Konoha has never been good. Because it is located in the desert and surrounded by yellow sand all the year round, its resources are scarce, and its top combat power is completely inferior to Konoha. If Luo Sha hadn't used magnetic escape to collect placer gold to fund the village, Cheyenne village might have collapsed long ago. In the previous Ninja World Wars, Hidden Sand Village also had wars with Konoha, but the result was a disastrous defeat without exception, which also accelerated the rapid decline of Hidden Sand Village's strength. They were naturally envious of the prosperous Konoha for a long time. It's just that Konoha has a vast land and abundant resources, and it is rich in geniuses. So they can only endure it. It is no exaggeration to say that if Konoha's top combat power disappears, Sand Hidden Village will definitely attack Konoha without hesitation and share Konoha's resources. But these are not important. Naruto used Shunpo to come to Sasuke and the others, and looked at Temari and the others with a gentle expression. The visitor is a guest. Since everyone has come to Konoha from a long distance, please experience the humanistic style of our Konoha. Wow, so elegant, so handsome, and this man is not bad. Temari's face is full of nympho. For her who likes handsome guys, Sasuke and Naruto are difficult to choose. One is cold and the other is gentle. Which one should I choose? Gaara's eyes were burning, and he suppressed the desire to kill in his heart, and said, I'm very interested in you, what's your name? He really wanted to do it directly, but even though he was a bloodthirsty person, he understood that the task was important. I am an extremely important part of the mission, so I can't make any mistakes now. Then there were opportunities to kill the man. Facing Gaara's question, Naruto is also very free and easy. Uzumaki Naruto, what about you? Gaara snorted coldly, appeared next to Kankuro and Temari in an instant, and said in a low voice, let's go. HMPH. Sasuke couldn't help but snorted coldly, looked at the Gaara trio, and then at Naruto, feeling a little upset inside. Even though he is so strong, why is that Pandaren not interested in him? Wait. Sasuke stopped the trio who were about to leave, and said in a cold tone, when will Sand Shinobi be able to enter and leave Konoha at will? Because it's the Chunin exam. Temari on the other side looked stunned. You don't know, do you? The Chunin exam. Why didn't Kakashi mention the Chunin exam? Sasuke and Sakura looked confused. That's all for the Chunin exam. Sasuke snorted coldly, and shouted at Gaara's back. Hey, that panda head, remember, my name is Uchiha Sasuke, and I will also be the one who eliminates you. Oh, so handsome, Temari on the side held his face and whispered intoxicatedly. HMPH. Looking at Sasuke's handsome face, and comparing it with his own handsomeness, Kankuro felt inexplicably upset. Gaara paused for a moment, ignored him, and continued to move forward. Kankuro and Temari hurriedly followed behind. Ah, Sasuke, you seem to be underestimated. Naruto joked with a smile. HMPH. Sasuke snorted unwillingly, looking at Naruto with a hint of dissatisfaction. Naruto, you shouldn't have come, I can solve them by myself. You can pull it down, that person with heavy dark circles is definitely not something you can deal with. Sakura rolled her eyes aside. You. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. But she couldn't refute Sakura's words at all. Can only be sulking alone. Konohamaru tugged at Sasuke's sleeve, comfortingly said. Boss Sasuke, in my opinion, you are the best. That Pandaren is not worthy to lift your shoes. That's right. Boss Sasuke is so domineering, and he's so handsome. Menghuang and Udon also said. Boss, what kind of ninjutsu is that? The whole body is full of lightning, crackling, why not call that form Super Sasuke? Konohamaru suggested enthusiastically. Walking on the streets of Konoha, Gaara's eyes remained murderous, but at the same time, a long-lost fear also appeared in his heart. He looked at his hands silently. It's hard to imagine that guy can get close to him. Even more terrifying. Shazi, whom he was so proud of, didn't even respond. Convey the emotion of fear. Gaara, who has killed countless people, is extremely sensitive to murderous intent and death. For some reason, he felt the breath of death in Naruto. There was even a familiar smell. Like the monster inside himself. Uzumaki Naruto. He chewed the name over and over again, the corners of his mouth curled into a slightly perverted arc. What an interesting man to be able to scare me. I can't wait to kill you. The other side. After being confirmed, Naruto and his party also walked towards the location of the Chunin exam. Kakashi didn't go there, Jonin naturally had other arrangements. Arriving at the location of the Chunin exam, the first exam is a written exam. However, the test site was covered by illusion. As soon as I arrived at the test site, I saw Lockley who was playing tricks. Candidates pretending to be weak fell in front of the door, but in fact they wanted to find a chance to pretend to be big. Sasuke will naturally not lose to anyone in terms of pretending to be aggressive. He stood up very decisively and exposed the illusion of the opening in a very flat but actually pretending tone. This made Rockley very upset. Reading www.uakanshu.com. So the two had a simple physical contest before the test site. Rockley threw the white robe on his body into the sky chicly, the corner of Sasuke's mouth evoked an evil and rampant arc, and his body began to be surrounded by tiny lightning. The two quickly entangled with each other, and the sound of fists and kicks could be heard everywhere. In the eyes of other candidates, Rockley and Sasuke's speed is so fast that they are hard to catch. After a brief fight for a minute, the two stopped at the same time. They looked at each other and smiled. It's not bad as a warm-up. The other candidates were shocked. Oh my god, is this the Konoha shinobi duel? It's too scary, right? Are our opponents these monsters? This is too disappointing. Chapter 94, White Zanpakuto. Latest website. Surrounded by many shocking gazes, Sasuke finally felt that he had regained some ground, smiled at Lockley, walked towards the queue at the same time, and said in the captain's tone, "Let's go." These two idiots. Xiao Sakura held her forehead in pain, with a helpless expression on her face. The thought of her future self having to heal the wounds of such an idiot makes her feel uncomfortable. I don't understand why Ino likes Sasuke. Sakura looked at Naruto with admiration, and felt very happy. Sure enough, Naruto is the best. Naruto has been observing candidates during Naruto. Soon, his eyes were attracted by a gloomy woman. The woman was wrapped in ordinary clothes and looked submissive. No matter how you look at it, he is an extremely ordinary ninja. But for some reason, the probing eyes that fell on Naruto were so dazzling. That woman is so strange. Naruto felt uncomfortable all over. Naruto, be careful, that woman is not simple. In the sealed space, Kyuubi couldn't help reminding. Kyuubi is extremely sensitive to negative emotions and possesses beast instincts. From that woman, he felt a dreadful aura, so he sounded a reminder. After all, he and Naruto are in the same boat now. Naruto withdrew his gaze, followed Sasuke and Sakura into the assessment classroom. There are already many candidates waiting in the classroom. Among them are many familiar faces. The familiar Hinata, Ino group, and Konoha's Wanian Genin, Yakushi-do. But what Naruto didn't know was that after he walked into the classroom, the seemingly ordinary woman stuck out her scarlet tongue, licked her lips lightly, and showed an interested smile on her face. Have you noticed something? Naruto Uzumaki is really a person who cannot be ignored. Orochimaru, as one of the Sannin, has the strength of the shadow class. It is also a trusted partner of Tsunade and Jiraiya, and a candidate for the fourth generation of Hokage. But just like this, in the eyes of everyone, the ninja who was loyal to Konoha touched the taboo human experiment and became a rebellious ninja. Orochimaru has tended to be negative and self-centered since he was a child, because he is afraid of his peers being hurt, and does not believe in the power of his peers. Compared with the enthusiastic Jiraiya, he is more like a silent poisonous snake, lurking in the corner, giving the final blow to the enemy at a critical moment, so his temperament is relatively cold. Because of the experience of the death of both parents, coupled with witnessing the death of close friends and apprentices, and the life experience of people disrespecting life during the war, his personality has further darkened, and his behavior style has become more and more terrifying. He is obsessed with research, eager to find the meaning of life through human body research, transcend the fragility of life, and achieve immortality. He collaborates with Konoha's darkness to research taboo human experiments. In the end, when the Dongchuang incident happened, he defected to Konoha and established Yinan Village. Looking back at his past, it is not an exaggeration to say that he is the person who knows the darkness of Konoha best. He understands Danzang's ambition and cruelty, and cooperates with Danzang to provide research for Danzang. But when Danzo obtained the research results, he did not hesitate to abandon Orochimaru. Orochimaru has no malice towards Konoha, and even hopes that Konoha can become stronger. But Konoha's roots have rotted. Following Orochimaru's defection, Jiraiya also followed the trail and left Konoha, and Tsunade was also disheartened by the village. The latent return of Orochimaru this time naturally has a purpose. One is the Konoha destruction plan. The second is Sharingan, and by the way, I will see Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Judging from the known information, Nine-Tails Jinchuriki's personality is similar to that of the fourth Hokage. And the simple staring in front also surprised Dashimaru's sensitivity to Naruto. He could even feel a bit of natural energy in Naruto. Mount Meowmu. Then Jiraiya is also in Konoha. Orochimaru frowned, feeling a little irritable. It is not good news for Konoha to add a cage-level powerhouse. I heard that Nine-Tails Jinchuriki has also awakened blood successor limit, this time I have to feel it. He thought. In a small town near the land of fire on the other side. Bai wore a **** robe and walked slowly along the path. The shops on both sides are wide open, and pedestrians are smiling and talking about their daily routines. Occasionally someone would pass by with a cart full of supplies. It is the first time to experience the prosperity of the town as a free person, but it has a different feeling. There is plenty of spiritual pressure in the body, and even walking feels a little windy. The law and order in the land of fire is not bad, so the residents of the nearby towns can be regarded as having a happy life. It's just that there are still many refugees who have no food to eat and no clothes to cover their bodies. Bai found a quiet place to live temporarily, and changed his name to Murakami Bai. Because of his soft appearance and gentle temperament, he quickly became one with the locals. It's just that the townspeople don't know that the seemingly weak Bai has a different identity. In the middle of the night, just as Bai fell asleep, his consciousness appeared in a world of ice and snow. He stood in the snowstorm, the sky was full of snow, and the surroundings were white, as if there was no end. Bai stretched out his hand and let the snowflakes fall on his palm, but he didn't feel a trace of coldness. The ice escape in the body began to function subconsciously. For him, the weather here is the most pleasant and comfortable. Suddenly, he saw an elegant woman walking slowly in the snowstorm. Looking intently, he found that the woman had a face similar to his own, only more charming. More like a female version of myself. In the previous communication with Naruto, he knew about the Zanpakuto, so he roughly guessed in his heart. This woman may be his own Zanpakuto. The woman stopped in front of Bai, her charming eyes were as gentle as water, and the undulating **** figure made Bai blush a little, and he dared not look at it. He thought to himself, why is my sword spirit female? It's so strange. Excuse me, are you my Zanpakuto? Bai suppressed his shyness, looked up at the woman, and asked politely. That's right, www.mtlnovel.com, remember, my name is. Bai saw the woman's lips move, but couldn't hear the last name clearly. After seeing the alluring smile on the woman's face, Bai's consciousness twitched for a while, and when he woke up again, he had already returned to the warm bed. What's going on? He sat up covering his head, feeling confused. Wow! A snow-white knife slipped from his side and fell to the ground with a crisp sound. With the landing, the ground seems to have a layer of fine snow, which is beautiful. This is, Qianda. Bai picked up the knife with a dazed expression. Everything is similar to what Naruto said. He has become a Shinigami who can wield the Zanpakuto. One step closer to using the initial solution. I'll be able to help Naruto-sama soon. Bai's face suddenly burst into a charming smile. Chapter 95, Sasuke's Written Test. Inside Naruto's office. Jilai also sat on the sofa with a big face. Jiraiya, how is Naruto's practice in MT? Miyagi. Midai asked with concern, looking away from the crystal ball. His practice is going well, and he has made new developments in the blood succession limits. Jiraiya replied, but there was a trace of worry on his face. Judging from the current situation, in fact, my ninjutsu is not of much help to him, and his blood successor limit is already very versatile. Really? What about the fairy art? 3 generations asked as they tapped their fingers on the table. Shanju. Jiraiya's expression fluctuated slightly when he talked about Shanshu. There was a trace of solemnity in his eyes. He said in a deep voice, old man, Naruto's blood succession limit is not simple, and it may have serious side effects. I think we need to call Tsunade back. Is it Tsunade? Hiruzen whispered, thinking of himself as a female disciple, his heart was full of helplessness. Senju Tsunade. The princess of the Chinsho clan, she was also disappointed in the village and chose to leave after the Chinsho clan fell behind. Active in casinos in various countries is a big fat sheep. Konoha also lost a powerful cage-level ninja. It would be the best if she is willing to come back as Hokage. Sandai said, smoking a pipe. Meanwhile, the written test for the Chunin exam is progressing smoothly. Due to the extreme difficulty of the exam, most candidates need to fill the exam paper by cheating. The difference is that both Naruto and Sakura write like a god. Although the written test is difficult, it is still very easy for them. On the contrary, Sasuke is not very good. His own liberal arts scores are not good, let alone these super class questions. Sasuke saw all this from the corner of his eye, and his heart was filled with unwillingness. Damn it, although I, Sasuke Uchiha, have mediocre academic performance at school, I won't be a dragging existence. I am not as good as Naruto in actual combat, even in theory. Do I have to rely on such despicable methods as cheating to pass the exam now? Damn, I am ashamed of Uchiha's glory like this. I am ashamed of Uchiha. Resentful, he removed Sharingan and gave up using Sharingan to copy other people's actions. With his self-esteem flooded, he started to do the questions in a strange way. Even if I have no ink, I try my best to answer every question. It's very similar to readers who don't understand farts during the exam and choose C for all multiple choice questions. Naruto, who quickly finished writing the exam paper, propped his chin, and observed the candidates around him with little interest. Of course, all his actions were very covert and were not noticed by the examiner. He saw Hinata use the perspective of white eyes to copy the answer. There is also the hard work of Shueiba Sakura. The use of the art of turning around in Ino's heart. Of course, there are sand ninja cheating methods. Naruto couldn't get enough of it. In a blink of an eye, the written test finally came to an end. Sasuke's hand holding the pen was a little pale, his head was sweating profusely, and his expression was very nervous. He kept scolding himself in his heart. Because of his poor self-esteem, he scribbled on the test paper. It took a lot of hours, but the questions may not be correct, and they are basically written in vain. The result may be eliminated. Is this the end of the first Chunin exam? He glanced at Naruto and Sakura with some guilt. But I saw that both of them were wearing confident smiles. Sasuke's heart sank suddenly. It's over. Barbecue. He rubbed his black prickly hair in distress, scolding himself in his heart. Damn it, Sasuke, why are you so stupid? What's wrong with you at this time? It's over now, you're going to be past the written test. After meeting Naruto, Sasuke felt that his personality began to change. The original self was so cold. But now, I began to yearn for bondage, and sometimes even have very passionate thoughts. Under Sasuke's slightly despairing eyes, the chief examiner walked into the classroom and announced a desperate news. If you fail the written test this time, your team will be unable to take the Chunin test for life in the future, and now you can accept abstention. There was an uproar in the audience, and no one could accept such a rule. You must know that most of the candidates are very ordinary Chunin, and it takes several Chunin exams to become a Chunin. No one is willing to gamble the future on this Chunin exam. But no matter how dissatisfied they are, they dare not oppose Konoha. As the most powerful ninja village, Konoha has the confidence to make such special rules. Many ninjas raised their hands under such oppression, chose to give up, and left helplessly with their teammates. The laid-back and confident Naruto set his eyes on Sasuke. It can be seen that Sasuke, who has always been proud, is also suffering at the moment. He clearly understood that his examination paper was unqualified, but he didn't want to hold back the team. When he noticed Naruto's gaze, Sasuke shuddered, showing a haughty expression, and snorted coldly. Sasuke immediately attracted everyone's attention. This man is so awesome. This idea inexplicably appeared in their minds. It seems that you are very confident. Don't worry about not passing the written test. The examiner sneered. He knows Sasuke. Uchiha's orphan. He has an arrogant personality, good talent, and I heard that his grades are also excellent. Now it seems that it is even more arrogant than imagined. Many of the remaining candidates were also refreshed by the proud Sasuke. That's right, I finally came here to take the Chunin exam, how can I give up here? A candidate slapped the table and stood up suddenly, www.mtlnovel.com. Yes, I will not give up. He will pass the exam and become a chunin. Quote. This scene made Naruto's mouth involuntarily twitch playfully, and he looked away. Many ninjas who were hesitant at first strengthened their hearts and chose to continue the exam. In the end, these ninjas who insisted on continuing the exam all passed the first round of written exams. Those who do not have the determination to move forward are not qualified to become ninjas. Congratulations, you have passed the examination. The examiner said with a smile on his face. At that moment, all the pressure poured out, and all the candidates cheered. Sasuke breathed a sigh of relief, only to realize that his forehead was covered with dense beads of sweat. After everyone left, the examiner walked to Sasuke's desk, picked up the test paper that was full of writing, and read it. After a long time, he put down the test paper and said with a light smile, "This Sasuke Uchiha wrote all the answers wrong. It seems that there is a very interesting candidate this time. The second Chunin exam will start soon." In the Forest of Death. Sasuke sat cross-legged on the rock, tiny lightning bolts surrounded his body. He had just finished a day of training, so he began to use the Thunder Dun to activate the cells in his body to restore and promote cell regeneration. Among other things, this pretentious temperament is properly handled. On the side, Sakura continued to torture and kill the fish, and then used medical ninjutsu to revive it. The process was unbearable to watch. In Sakura's words, "My goal is to heal Sasuke and Naruto no matter how injured they are in the future. Naruto is not among them." Quite frankly, after entering the Forest of Death, Naruto was separated from Sakura and Sasuke. Chapter 96. You're playing with the souls of the dead. In Naruto's words, he wanted to wander around the Death Forest alone to see if there would be some unexpected targets. Sasuke was very angry about this, but he couldn't stop Naruto. Little did they know, Naruto did this to protect them. Because ever since he entered the Death Forest, Naruto could feel a cold breath locking himself. I believe that other ninja village masters sneaked into Konoha, and they are more interested in themselves. Minato, who has turned into a ***** of death, is particularly sensitive to breath, so he expressed his guess with a little hesitation. This breath is a bit like Orochimaru, one of the Sannin. How did Konoha rebel, who was obsessed with research, appear here? Could it be that he still wants to use himself as an experiment? Naruto chuckled, but there was no trace of fear in his heart. There are too many cards in his own hole now, it is not so easy for a shadow-level ninja to win himself. Besides, this is Konoha's territory. The reason why Naruto distracted Orochimaru was to protect his teammates. Sasuke is his valued opponent, and he doesn't want Sasuke to die here early. The second is that he is very interested in Orochimaru. Maybe talk about research if you can. Naruto shuttled through the Death Forest like this, and Orochimaru easily followed behind. There are 5 days for the assessment of the Death Forest, and Orochimaru has enough time to complete his goal. But before that, he wanted to take a good look at Naruto, an interesting Jinchuriki. Following Naruto to this day, he saw Naruto mercilessly killing ninjas from his village. No amount of ninja can stop Naruto's sword. Every time I was stabbed to the core. After all this is done, Naruto will wipe the blood off the knife with a smile on his face. That smile made people shudder, and it also made Orochimaru's interest in Naruto to the extreme. Until one afternoon, when Orochimaru saw a masked monster with a hollow chest emerge from the corpse, he could no longer hold back his inner excitement. It is a sunny afternoon. Halfway through the Chunin exam, most of the ninjas who entered the Forest of Death had already been killed or injured. Exits, advances. Sasuke and Sakura also began to get some scrolls for passing the exam. Naruto was already full of scrolls that satisfied him to advance, but he still walked leisurely in the Death Forest. The sun shone through the dense leaves and fell to the ground, and the air smelled of blood. The danger of the Death Forest assessment is not only the assassination that other ninjas can carry out at any time, but also the beasts in the forest. The smell of blood can easily attract ninjas or large beasts, causing the ninja's physical strength to be consumed or killed again. Therefore, candidates will subconsciously stay away from places with a strong smell of blood. Naruto strolled leisurely in the forest, humming a little song, looking for interesting scenery like sightseeing. Whenever an incomprehensible beast appears, he will solve it smoothly. On the treetop nearly 30 meters away from Naruto, Orochimaru couldn't help stretching out his slender tongue to lick his lips, his eyes were full of curiosity and greed. Learned from Danzo. Naruto has a very wonderful blood succession limit, has the potential comparable to Sharingan, and coupled with the identity of Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, Naruto will be a proper Kage-level powerhouse in the future. Coupled with Naruto's keenness before, Orochimaru really wanted to have an intimate contact with Naruto, and study his young and immature body. It's just that he has an agreement with Danzo that he can't touch Naruto. Naruto is Danzo's target. But that doesn't mean he can't get in touch with Naruto, the genius who makes Danzo crazy. After knowing Naruto's strength, he will play with the Uchiha orphan, imprint his own traces on his body, and use words to arouse his desire for power. Playing with his heart, finally made him a slave to power, obediently walked into his arms, and became his own shape. At that time, I will have the powerful blood succession boundary of Sharingan. Thinking of the bright future, Orochimaru couldn't help licking his lips abnormally, his body trembled slightly, as if he had reached the peak of his spirit and released from the inside out. At this time, he saw Naruto walking to the lake, and at the moment when he bent down to wash his hands, two ninjas suddenly rushed out from the bushes, stabbing Naruto's back fiercely with the kunai in their hands. Tch. Kunai fell into an afterimage, and before the two ninjas could react, he felt a stabbing pain in his chest. They lowered their heads in astonishment, only to find that a long knife had been pierced through their chest. Pulling out the long knife also took away the last trace of warmth from their bodies. Bits of blood oozed from the wound, quickly soaking the soil under his body. Naruto and the shadow clone drew out their knives respectively, and the two corpses in front of them also fell down. He stepped on top of the blood, gracefully wiping the blood off the long knife. In sight, two groups of souls rose slowly from above the corpse. Naruto vaguely glanced at the hidden position of Orochimaru. The corners of the mouth curled up. Infused the spiritual pressure into the two souls. Then, under Orochimaru's shocked, even horrified eyes, the souls began to appear, and there was a strange energy flowing in their bodies. www.mtlnovel.com. Uzumaki Naruto, actually playing with the souls of the dead. Oshimaru's eyes widened, and he even forgot to hide for a moment, his eyes became fiery. Orochimaru is to study scientists who can metamorphose to ****** change. In order to study immortality, he inevitably studied the human body and soul. Among them, the mysterious thing like the soul is the most elusive. It is said that after death, the soul will go to the Pure Land. From another point of view, if a person's soul is controlled, can he be resurrected? Orochimaru has conducted countless studies with this idea in mind. In the past, the second generation of Hokage also conducted similar research, and even developed the forbidden technique of reincarnation, which is a forbidden technique to play with the soul of the dead. Since he is Hokage, no one can blame him. But Orochimaru is different. He is just a disciple of Hokage, so conducting this kind of human body research is naturally regarded as violating ethics and morals. After betraying Konoha, he has been conducting human experiments without interruption, hoping to explore the truth of the soul, but the research progress is extremely slow, and it can even be called no progress. But just now, he saw that Uzumaki Naruto, who was regarded as Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, used a special method to visualize people's souls. Not only that, but the soul seems to be undergoing a mutation. Orochimaru swallowed hard, his eyes full of thirst for knowledge. He felt the same kind of breath in Naruto. Also, in order to study the madness that can be desperate. In sight, the soul surged in pain, a bone mask gradually condensed on the face, a deep hole appeared in the chest, and extreme madness exuded from the whole body. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel Chapter 97. If you don't mind, you can exchange one. The two looked at each other in vain, and immediately pinched each other, biting each other's body continuously, devouring each other's flesh and blood, just like a hungry wolf seeing food. Naruto shook his head secretly, and said to himself. Sure enough, it still doesn't work. The conversion rate of the ninja is too bad. The amount of chakra in their bodies is too small to stop the invasion of the spiritual pressure, and they will only become void. Shu can become stronger after being devoured, and may be able to reach a new level and obtain the power of death from Shu's form, but this process is too long, and I don't have the resources to provide such experiments now. Naruto's soliloquy is not for Orochimaru. Sure enough, the scientific madman Orochimaru's eyes lit up after hearing unfamiliar words such as Shu and Reiatsu. He could no longer hold back the excitement in his heart, and walked out from the dark place. Crack! His legs made a sound as he stepped on the grass. Naruto looked, and saw the strange woman who he thought suspicious before. Wearing a lavender kimono, with long dark hair, his face was extremely pale, and there was an evil smile hanging from the corner of his mouth, and his temperament was extremely cold. It turns out that one of the three ninjas, the cold-faced Orochimaru, has transsexualism. This thought flashed through Naruto's mind, and then he showed an extremely warm smile. Oh, there are guests. Orochimaru looked at the gentle Naruto, and then at the two Shu who were still fighting, and felt that it was extremely unharmonious. Judging from the information obtained from Danzo, Naruto has an elegant and gentle personality, inherited the will of fire, and is eager to protect Konoha and important people. But now it seems that it is not true. Naruto is a very man of the city. Orochimaru showed a perverted smile, and his voice was full of magnetism. Nice meeting, Naruto-kun, I'm Orochimaru, and I'm very interested in your research. Feeling the cold aura on Dashimaru and the paranoid about research, Naruto smiled even brighter. He gently sent the flower in the mirror and the moon in water into the two empty heads, and slowly pulled it out. The emptiness dissipated. Naruto said calmly. I've been waiting for you for a long time, Orochimaru. Huh. Orochimaru narrowed her snake eyes, a little puzzled in her eyes, and the wanton aura on her body was also put away. He had thought about Naruto's reaction when he saw him. Shocked, terrified, stunned. After all, he is a cage-level powerhouse who has been famous for a long time and opposes Konoha. It only takes 1 second to kill a fledgling ninja like Naruto. But Naruto's reaction was too strange. Indifferent. Confidence. It seems that it is really as he said, waiting for him for a long time. Could it be that he has already noticed himself? Orochimaru looked a little moved. Decided to test the truth. He smiled and said, I'm curious, did Naruto-kun notice me early? Faced with Orochimaru's question, Naruto put away the mirror, and casually crossed the pit. Well, it's sort of. After getting an affirmative answer, Orochimaru was quite surprised. Apart from the identity of Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Naruto's talent is also extremely amazing, and may even have surpassed Uchiha Sasuke. No wonder that guy in Danzo keeps emphasizing, don't touch Naruto. It would be wonderful if such a young body could change into its own shape. It's a pity that he is Renjuli. Orochimaru looked past Naruto, landed on the dissipated Zuhei corpse, and suddenly showed a smile that he thought was charming, but actually cold and permeating, and said politely, Mr. Naruto, is that soul just now? Seeing Orochimaru's thirsty eyes, Naruto nodded. Orochimaru immediately asked anxiously, how did you make the soul visible? Why did the soul mutate? Is this your blood succession boundary? Could it be that your blood succession boundary is related to the Pure Land? The continuous questions made Naruto look at Orochimaru with admiration. Unexpectedly, he still underestimated Orochimaru's dedication to research. He came to the edge of a rock in an instant, cleaned it with water, then sat down, and gracefully gestured to Orochimaru. I didn't expect that Mr. Orochimaru also has a lot of research on the soul. If you don't mind, you can talk about it. Seeing Naruto's movements, Orochimaru didn't think much about it, and directly came to Naruto's side with the instant body technique, and Shishirin sat down without any airs, as if he had forgotten his purpose when he came. At this moment, his eyes were hot, looking at Naruto more like looking at a piece of treasure. The two sat down side by side, the blood near the rock was still flowing, and the air was filled with a strong smell of blood. There were large beasts in the forest from time to time, but before they got close, they were easily dealt with by Orochimaru's clone, without any sound issue. Naruto and Ashimaru talked enthusiastically like old friends. This is my blood succession boundary, the power from the Pure Land, I call it Reiatsu. Naruto stretched out his hand generously, and an unspeakable energy condensed in his palm. The blood succession boundary of the Pure Land. Orochimaru looked suspicious, and he immediately used chakra to explore the Reiatsu in Naruto's hand, and his expression gradually became solemn. In his decades of research on the soul, he found that human beings are composed of cells, and the soul is also composed of a strange substance. These substances do not exist in this world, and may originate from the so-called Pure Land. This is because the soul's own attributes are contrary to the present world, so it will go to the Pure Land. And the predecessors, research on the dead also has many good results, www.mtlnovel.com, such as the reincarnation of the dirty soil. By extracting a certain amount of body from the deceased, using the body of the living as the container for the soul of the deceased, and then summoning the soul of the deceased from the pure land of the underworld to the present world, the deceased will retain the consciousness of his life. In past experiments, the subjects reincarnated from the filth showed different behaviors. One of these souls has memories of their lives, and they know exactly how they died. They have obsessions, so after being reincarnated from the dirt, they clearly understand that they are already dead, and they are just resurrected by some special means. The other type of soul also has memories of life, but for them, the wish of life has been fulfilled, so the experience after being reincarnated in the dirty soil is just. They appear here as soon as they open their eyes after death, which means that they are dead. The last soul fell into a deep sleep. But judging from Naruto's means, these souls who should have gone to the Pure Land have mutated to varying degrees due to the energy of the Pure Land, and have become irrational monsters. And according to Naruto's words, these are all failures. So what would a successful experiment look like? If we can retain the consciousness in life, is this another form of immortality? Being able to ruthlessly experiment with the ninja's soul, it seems that Naruto is not as gentle and easygoing as the rumors say, let alone someone who has inherited the will of fire. Looking at Naruto with a smile on his face, Orochimaru suddenly felt an excitement that hadn't been felt for a long time in his calm heart. It was the excitement of feeling the same kind. He looked at Naruto with a rather urgent tone. Why does your blood inheritance limit cause the soul to mutate? If the experiment is successful, what will happen to the soul? Chapter 98. The fourth generation is not dead. Facing Orochimaru's question, Naruto smiled calmly, as if the person sitting next to him was not Konoha's cage-class rebel, but a good friend who could have a long talk. The blood successor limit that I have is actually the blood successor limit that controls the spiritual pressure. Under Orochimaru's rather puzzled eyes, Naruto continued to explain. All substances in the Pure Land are composed of spirit particles, even human souls are composed of spirit particles. When a soul strengthens itself through cultivation, his body will produce spiritual pressure, which is the energy shown by my blood succession boundary. Breakaway number 4, by Lei. Naruto held out his finger to demonstrate. The white light that burst out from the fingers directly punched a hole in the tree. Naruto withdrew his finger. This is a way to use Reiatsu, Kido. Kido is more versatile, regardless of combat and assistance. He then showed several different ways of ghosts, which opened Orochimaru's eyes. Of course, in addition to the ghost way, another application of Reiatsu is the application of physical arts such as Shunpo. He continued. Other than that, it's Zanpakuto. Zanpakuto. Orochimaru was very interested in this new word, and pondered a little. It's your mirror image. That's right. Naruto nodded, that's why I experimented with Reiatsu. Through the injection of spiritual pressure, the original ordinary souls can usher in a new evolution. Once the evolution is successful, they will enter a new life form. They will have Zanpakuto similar to mine. And once they fail, Naruto the corner of the person's mouth curled up slightly, they will become empty without reason. Naruto stood up, suspended above the blood, with a warm smile. I know that you have been conducting experiments on human bodies in the past, and you are eager to find eternal life. To a certain extent, we are the same kind of people. Research can abandon everything. I want to cooperate with you, I provide resources, and you help me study the experiment of the soul. I believe that deification of death will be the road to eternal life. Facing Naruto's invitation, Orochimaru showed a perverted smile and let out a hoarse laugh. Naruto-kun, is it okay to show the real you in front of me directly? You must know that I have cooperation with the high-level Konoha. Oshimaru is indeed still connected with Danzo. Minato said anxiously in the sealed space, is there any intention for him to lurk into Konoha this time? But after thinking about it, the current self has nothing to do with Konoha, and Minato's face suddenly becomes ugly. The Kyuubi at the side immediately sarcastically said, Jia, you promised Naruto yourself that you will not take care of Konoha anymore, and be a tool man. He raised his head arrogantly, with a look of pride expression. I know. Minato sighed. Outside world. I don't care if you cooperate with Konoha's high-level officials, and I don't worry about you telling them the real me. Naruto laughed softly, looking directly at Orochimaru's snake pupils, and his tone was affirmative. You and I are the same kind of people. As long as my research is valuable, you will not betray. Hiss ha ha ha. Orochimaru stuck out his tongue, licked his slightly dry lips again, and smiled pervertedly. I didn't expect the real Uzumaki Naruto to be so confident. It seems that you have fooled those rotten people very well. And stupid high-ranking Konoha. Orochimaru also stood up, with a cold smile. Tell me about your thinking. Naruto handed the long-prepared experimental notes to Orochimaru, and explained, my idea is to let the soul enter the state of void or death through a lot of Reiatsu experiments, and explore the boundary between void and death through research. At the same time, it can also find the balance between humans, hollow, and Shinigami, and finally create a life like me that is human and can use Reiatsu. From the perspective of the soul, the asterisk of death or the imaginary is equivalent to obtaining eternal life. They will not age, and they will not die naturally. This is the same as what you are after. So, the focus of your research will be the new evolutionary direction of Shu, death, and human beings. This requires a lot of experiments, and at the same time requires a huge area of the laboratory. Naruto looked at Orochimaru meaningfully. I believe this will not trouble you. Of course, I'm an audio video now. Orochimaru responded. Reaper can become stronger through the practice of Reiatsu, and Shu can have stronger power and consciousness by devouring the opponent. Naruto continued. And human beings can have the power of both. Naruto's hand suddenly appeared in the mirror. The blade vibrated slightly, and the spiritual pressure permeated accordingly. This is the power of Shinigami, Zanpakuto, do you want to experience Shikai? Naruto smiled, like a researcher sharing the results of an experiment. Of course, I also want to know more about Zanpakuto's ability. Orochimaru responded. I learned from Danzang that Naruto's Zanpakuto is a blood successor who is good at weaving illusions. Orochimaru is very curious about this. www.mtlnovel.com. I don't know what the blood successor limit is like in front of the shadow level powerhouse. Crack it, Kyoka Suigetsu. Naruto showed an inexplicable smile, and the Kyoka Suigetsu in his hand shattered into a lens and disappeared into the air. There is no feeling of illusion, everything is very natural. Orochimaru threw the shuriken at the tree, there is no problem with the touch and sound. He began to mobilize the chakra in his body, breaking the mirror in an instant. But he was surprised to find that the tree hit by the shuriken did not exist at all, and the shuriken had been thrown somewhere long ago. Unbelievable ability. Orochimaru's eyes were hot, and he couldn't help muttering to himself, and his desire for research reached the extreme. If every Zanpakuto has similar potential, then this of death has great research value. He looked at Naruto. Where is Shu's power? But Naruto shook his head. The virtual power has not been mastered yet, more experiments are needed. A smile appeared on Dashimaru's pale face. Very interesting research, regardless of how Naruto-kun wants to provide me with resources. Could it be that you want to betray Konoha and follow me to Yinyan Village? We Yinyan Village can't bear it. Hold Konoha's wrath. The next moment, Orochimaru's eyes widened, as if he saw something beyond imagination. Fourth generation, he said in astonishment. In the line of sight, the figure of Namikaze Minato gathered beside Naruto. Yo, Orochimaru, long time no see. Unexpectedly, when we meet again, you will already be a traitor. Minato's expression was complicated. I didn't expect to see you again. Orochimaru put on an evil smile on his mouth. May I ask if the current 4th Hokage-sama is on Konoha's side, or on our side? Chapter 99. I want Sasuke Uchiha. Don't worry, I have nothing to do with Konoha. Minato said softly. Things are different. The identities of the two have also changed a lot. The heroes who once guarded Konoha are now against Konoha. And the rotten darkness is still dormant in the leaves, constantly absorbing fresh nutrients. Such a fate is ironic. I will let Sidai follow you back to Yinyan Village, and he will use Reiatsu to cooperate with your research. Naruto said with a smile. It seems that Naruto-kun is very thoughtful. Orochimaru smiled evilly, as if he suddenly thought of something, showing a rather playful expression. By the way, what is Naruto-kun's attitude towards Konoha? Konoha. Naruto put away his warm smile and said expressionlessly, I just want to study higher level powers. If they stop me, I won't mind killing them. Naruto turned around, with his back to Orochimaru, exuding a cold breath from his body. The tone is firm and cold. As I said, we are the same kind of people. Yes, we are the same kind of people. It's very interesting for me to join your research. Orochimaru's pale face was flushed, and his eyes were full of morbid desire for research. From your description, this may be the way to eternal life, so I certainly won't miss it. Then why did you come to Konoha this time? Naruto asked in an equal tone. Orochimaru didn't mind Naruto's tone, and replied without concealment, I came here this time for Konoha Honkai. I don't know if you know the intricacies of Konoha's high level. I know, Danzo and Sandai, right? That's right. Orochimaru nodded, looking at Naruto with eyes full of appreciation. I reached an agreement with Danzo to kill the third generation through the organization's Konoha collapse plan, so that Danzo will have a chance to take over. And I can also obtain a large number of ninja corpses, even blood successor ninjas for research. Without the restraint of the third generation, Danzo's actions will be more unscrupulous. I think it may affect you too. Orochimaru revealed meaningful smile. 3 generations, you can't kill them. Naruto shook his head. Why? A fierce light flashed in Dashuin's eyes. Because he is one of the protagonists who will witness me giving Konoha a gift. Naruto turned his head, his eyes were extremely calm, so calm that it made people chill. From Naruto's eyes, Orochimaru seems to have seen the dark childhood, and the reason and calm derived from endless malice. Although elegant and easygoing on the outside, he is actually cold inside and will only move towards his own goals. For such people, there is no way to be bound by fetters. Just like myself. Even if you are with Jirai, you are also close to Tsunade, but you should leave as soon as you have to, and never look back. Orochimaru believed it too. The gift, Naruto said, is definitely the most splendid scenery in the ninja world. His heart was full of anticipation, and the corner of his mouth couldn't help evoking a perverted evil smile. His slender tongue spit out like a poisonous snake, and licked around his lips. Since Naruto-kun is so interested, I will try my best. After all, the third generation is also a shadow-level powerhouse. If I let go too much, I may die, so I will try to abolish him as much as possible, achieve my purpose. It is good. The two sides reached a consensus, and the process was unexpectedly smooth. For some reason, the more Naruto looked at Orochimaru, the more pleasing to his eyes, and Orochimaru looked like a mad scientist. For research, gender doesn't matter. And Orochimaru also admires Naruto very much. If it wasn't for Naruto's Nine Tails Jinchuriki's sensitive identity, he would have directly invited Naruto to join Yinyan Village. At this time, Minato had returned to the sealed space, and he watched this scene with a little worry. It can be seen from past events that Orochimaru is undoubtedly a cold poisonous snake. No one can predict when he will be bitten by him. Minato naturally didn't want Naruto to cooperate with a dangerous character like Orochimaru. The cooperation agreement between the two parties has been reached, and they are also very friendly and ready to say goodbye to each other. Before leaving, Orochimaru seemed to have thought of something, and said, by the way, I will accept that Uchiha Kid. He is my very important experimental material and a key piece of my original eternal life plan. That can't be done, Sasuke is the one I like. Naruto said with a gentle expression and a flat tone of explaining the facts. Hearing this, Orochimaru narrowed his eyes, with a dangerous aura in his eyes. Rather than saying that he sneaked into Konoha to collapse the plan, it would be better to say that he wanted to get Uchiha's blood succession limit. Before, he was directly knocked down by Itachi's 1-month reading, and the desire for Sharingan grew in his heart. Itachi is something he can't defeat, and only Sasuke is left. Orochimaru has already planned to abduct Sasuke to join Yin Village, and then occupy his body. Everything was planned so perfectly. Unexpectedly, a Naruto came out halfway. Orochimaru's tone suddenly became a bit unfriendly. Naruto-kun, I have already promised you that you will not kill the third generation. Sasuke should leave it to me. You can't be too greedy. A cold and strong aura emanating from Dashawan, www.mtlnovel.com, kept pressing towards Naruto. Naruto looked as usual, as if he didn't feel the pressure at all, and said flatly, Reaper research is enough to satisfy your goal, you don't need to attack Sasuke at all. No, the research on Shinigami is too unknown, of course I have to prepare for the second hand. Orochimaru said coldly. It seems that the talk has collapsed. Don't worry, Naruto-kun, I will only give Sasuke a small gift, that will strengthen his strength and won't hurt him. Seeing Naruto's displeased expression, Orochimaru couldn't help feeling a little bit panic, for fear that Naruto will cancel the cooperation with him. It's hard to imagine that Orochimaru, one of the Sannin, would subdue, but Naruto is not someone who will step down when given a step. He is very principled and has a mental cleanliness. The goal you want to grow according to your plan, if it is tarnished by Orochimaru, there will inevitably be many variables, which will definitely affect your plan. At that time, I will probably lose an opponent worth shooting. So Naruto didn't give in, and he was completely right. No, you can't touch Sasuke. Being rejected again, Orochimaru's expression also turned cold. Naruto-kun, you are too greedy. No, you underestimated Shinigami and Shu's potential. Naruto's tone was full of disappointment. After negotiating with Orochimaru, he also included Orochimaru in his future plans. But now it seems that Orochimaru, who is obsessed with writing sharing eyes, is too short-sighted. It's useless to talk about it. Since Naruto thinks that Shinigami and Hollow's potential is so great that I ignore Sharingan, then prove it to me. Chapter 100. vs Orochimaru. The two looked at each other, knowing that a battle was inevitable. Since that's the case, let's let you see it. While speaking, Naruto stretched out his right hand and immediately cast a ghost. 31 of Breaking the Way. Red Cannon. Endless flames burst out from Naruto's palm, directly covering Orochimaru in front of him completely. In an instant, a violent explosion occurred in the area where Orochimaru was located. The flames were blazing and the sea of flames filled the air, causing the surrounding animals to flee wildly. The air was distorted by the high temperature, and there were scorched black marks all around. Empty. As expected of Sannin, the response is really fast. Naruto praised, pointed to an area where there was no one, and continued to cast Ghost Dao instantly. 54 of the Broken Way, Waste Flame. A disc-shaped flame enveloped the area, and the figure of Orochimaru and his slightly surprised voice finally appeared in it. As expected of Naruto-kun, it seems that I still underestimated your potential. You can discover my real body so quickly, and the power of this ghost way has surpassed ordinary ninjutsu. It is really good, but I want to convince me, it's not enough. The flame ignited Orochimaru's body and continued to burn, but Orochimaru's expression was still full of playfulness. Soon, the original Orochimaru gradually melted in the flames, and the main body used a snake substitute to easily stay away from the sea of flames. When it reappeared, the whole body was unscathed. As the ghost way of number 54 invalid. Naruto chuckled. After practicing in Mount Miaomu, his spiritual pressure has increased slightly, and he can already cast ghosts within 60 numbers instantly. But for shadow-level powerhouses, Ghost Dao is really not enough. Wind Escape Big Breakthrough. 33 of Breaking the Way, Kengwo Pendant. The combination of ninjutsu and Ghost Way. In an instant, the explosive flames that originally fell from the sky skyrocketed several times under the increase of the big breakthrough, and fell fiercely towards the area where Orochimaru was located like a meteorite. Seeing the powerful attack, Orochimaru frowned wildly, and his mouth was still hitting Naruto's confidence. With Nine Tails Chakra, you can indeed use powerful ninjutsu, and even cooperate with Kido to increase the power to a higher level. But if this is the potential of Shinigami, then I am too disappointed. Orochimaru didn't care about the water vapor that was evaporating due to the flames around him, and the next moment he passed through the sea of flames, appeared in front of Naruto, stretched out his right hand, and turned into endless snake shadows. Sneaker snake hand. Unconstrained ninjutsu, interesting. Facing the self-created ninjutsu that he had never seen before, Naruto suddenly thought of Jiraiya. One is a toad and the other is a snake. Isn't this a natural enemy? Naruto smiled lightly and pulled out the Kyoka Shuijutsu. The blade shone brightly, blocking the rushing snakes in an instant. Almost instantly, the heads of the snake group were cut off. Ghost Way doesn't work, so just use swordsmanship. Orochimaru opened his mouth wide, and in Naruto's somewhat uncomfortable gaze, he spit out the Kusanagi sword from his mouth, and met Naruto's Kyoka Shuijutsu. Your way of storing swords is really surprising, but if your size is juggling, I'm very disappointed. Naruto sneered, and ripples of spiritual pressure rippled in his hands. Although Orochimaru has been obsessed with research all year round, his own strength has not fallen, and his physical experience is not much worse than that of Jiraiya, and he has experienced hundreds of thousands of times more battles than Naruto. So after a few tricks of testing, Orochimaru roughly figured out Naruto's level of swordsmanship. I was quite surprised by Naruto's talent. At only 12 years old, he has a good sword technique in ninjutsu, and he has full potential in the blood successor limit boundary. This may be a genius. It's a pity that such a genius is currently unable to transform into his own shape. Orochimaru's mind moved slightly, and the grass pheasant sword in his hand was drawn extremely fast. Tang, clang, clang. The sound of swords colliding continued to resound in the dense woods, and the surrounding trees continued to have knife marks and sword marks. After every flash of sword light, a big tree would collapse. It can be called the number one logging combination in the forest. Orochimaru's body blinking technique is very subtle, paired with a good swordsmanship, the sword stabs at the vitals. Naruto has experienced devil-style physical and tactical training, and with Shunpo, he can keep up with the speed of Orochimaru. But in the constant fighting, he inevitably fell into a disadvantage. There is naturally an ingredient of Orochimaru releasing water. During the battle, he did not forget to use words to stimulate Naruto. Hey, Naruto-kun, if this is all you have, then the potential of Shinigami and Hollow doesn't seem to be enough to impress me. An icy viper, he excels at playing his opponents physically and psychologically, delivering a double whammy. What surprised him was that, facing his own sarcasm, Naruto still had a warm expression, without a trace of displeasure at all. Orochimaru appreciates such a city. And Naruto also regarded Orochimaru as an excellent whetstone, and integrated the physical skills and tactics learned during this period. Unknowingly, the surroundings of the two of them were already bare, the ground was full of chaotic knife marks, and the battle caused by the two of them scared away countless wild beasts. This is a pain for the other candidates, who are still walking, but always encounter all kinds of large beasts. It's time to end, I'm going to find Sasuke Uchiha too. Orochimaru looked at the sky, showing a perverted evil smile. www.mtlnovel.com. He speeded up, and knocked Naruto back with a sword. With his speed soaring, he directly approached Naruto, and the grass pheasant sword in his hand stabbed out continuously. Kai. The grass pheasant sword passed through Naruto's shoulder, but there was no expected resistance. The substitution technique is very skillful. Sensing the wind of the sword on the right, Orochimaru drew out the Kusakasa sword without hesitation, and stabbed head-on. Clang! A force enough to paralyze the arm came, and Orochimaru's expression changed slightly. Naruto is hiding clumsiness. The next moment, I only felt a sharp pain in my abdomen, and I was kicked into the sky by Naruto. The 12 of breaking the way, Fuhuo. The ghost Downet directly restrained Dashawan completely. Naruto raised his right hand again. 33 of breaking the way, Kengwo pendant. Boom. Violent explosive flames erupted from Naruto's hands, directly covering Orochimaru. Ha ha ha, Naruto-kun, I've already said that your ghost way doesn't work for me at all. Orochimaru didn't panic at all. Instead he said with an evil smile, but his expression froze in the next moment, and he lost his voice and said, "Why is my chakra frozen?" What answered him was endless explosive flames. Boom, boom, boom. The area centered on Orochimaru suddenly burst into hot sparks, and the billowing smoke almost covered the sky above. The entire area has completely turned into a sea of flames. Against the backdrop of the flames, Naruto's expression was warm, with a bright and gentle smile, and he said slowly, The ghost path is not only about destruction, but also restriction and medical treatment, and the Fuhuo I use can suspend the flow of chakra. Although for a shadow-level powerhouse, the control time will not exceed 3 seconds, but 3 seconds is enough. Quote. Mr. Orochimaru, I don't know if this is enough to prove Shinigami's potential. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese novel audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories, and never miss out on a great listen.